Yeah, the Bill Michaels Show. We are on the air. We are glad you're with us on this Wednesday. It's a weird day today. I'll explain that in a minute. It's a weird day, strange day. No, it's not because it's the hangover from Valentine's Day. So I'll get into that in just a minute. Welcome to the program. If you want to chime in, phone number 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. You can find us over on Twitter at Bill_Michaels. Please follow us in all our platforms, which we always appreciate. You can't get enough of the show, hopefully, but if you can't get enough of it and you want to complain, you can do so in many ways. Also producing the program, Ben Z. Kenny at Ben Z. Kenny over on Twitter. You can find us on Facebook under The Bill Michaels Show, facebook.com/The Bill Michaels Show. Same thing on Instagram, by the way. Find us on YouTube, find us on Twitch, just simply Bill Michaels Show on both television entities. And you can find us via email, thebillmichaels@gmail.com. Everything is on the website, thebillmichaels.com. And you can find us on Apple. You can find us on Spotify. You can find us on Google Podcasts if you want to get more of the show, can't get enough of the show, or you missed some of the show. Whatever it happens to be. And Michael, good morning to you. There we have it. Today feels weird. I'll tell you why in a minute. But Ben Kenny, last night, the Badgers got a win. It was ugly. They didn't hit a field goal in the last 10 minutes of the game. How do you win a game like that?
Should I answer?
Yeah, go for it.
Hello. Still going through it.
You're like, go back to Winnie the Pooh. Winnie the Pooh had all these friends around him, right? Winnie the Pooh, even when he was stuck in a honey hole, he had a lot of optimism. Then there's Eeyore. You are the Eeyore of my show.
I guess. I don't know. It just takes time.
Oh, my goodness.
How did the Badgers win? Well, for the first time in a month and a half, they made free throws.
Mm-hmm.
There were games upon games. They always go through those droughts.
Right.
Like I was watching that. That was the most expected second half I've ever seen. They did it on Saturday. They were up 17 points against Nebraska and lost.
Right.
Like that's just what this team does. This time they actually made free throws. And that's how they won the game. And frankly, like the season has sucked. The team is okay. It's not horrible. It's obviously not that great. But yesterday was in many ways my Super Bowl. As long as they could beat Juwan Howard and Hunter Dickinson walking in the stadium with the damn ski mask and all those idiots in Michigan, I feel fine about the season.
Okay. So it's kind of like
where I'm at today.
It's kind of like Bears fans where all they want to do is just beat the Packers.
Kind of.
Okay.
But not in a depressing way.
Okay.
I guess. I'm just looking for joy.
Okay.
And that game brought me.
You got to take joy anywhere you can find it. So I'll go with you on that. I'll take that. I get it. Okay. Bucks last night, they get a win. And more so than the win, what should we be talking about coming out of that win last night? Anything? Anything strike you?
I saw a lot of the chatter surrounding the game. I mean, they beat the Celtics B team, if you will. A lot of guys were out, but it's mid-February and dudes are hurt and the Bucks won. And I don't think it teaches us anything about how the playoff series would go. I see some people projecting. Many were complaining about people who weren't playing. I don't know. Like it's a mid-February NBA game. They won. It was exciting. And then I think we move forward.
To me, anyway, more so than anything, I think what comes out of last night's win are two things. One is the Bucks, they need to get back to full strength. The Celtics need to get back to full strength. I don't know if you want to face the Celtics down the stretch. You assume it's going to be the Eastern Conference Finals between these two teams, but I don't know if you want to face them, man. They were missing 4 of their 6 big guys, 2 of their premier starters. And the Bucks, you're still getting Chris Middleton back kind of into the swing of things. You've got no Jay Crowder as of yet. No Bobby Portis as of yet. So they're not at full strength either. So the Bucks had the best player in the league last night in Giannis. And so that tilts the stage, so to speak, in his direction. But last night, Drew Holiday just went off. I mean, he was fantastic. So that was awesome to see. So in so many different ways, terrific win. And any coach will tell you, I don't care how we win or who we play against, a win's a win. You just take it and move on. And that's exactly what the Bucs are going to do. And I can't wait because I have tickets to the next matchup between these two teams. Hopefully they're both at full strength. So coming up in mid-March, late March, I think it's a Thursday night contest. I can't wait. I'm going to that game. I just bought tickets to it. So looking forward to that. But last night it was a win, and you just grab it and you take a win and you move on, and that's all there is to it. So if there's anything you take away from last night, that was one of them. The second thing is I think we all went just silent when Giannis went down. You could hear him moaning in pain last night from the knee issue. And to be able to come out of that and still be able to play. Now, I don't know what the long-term effects of this is going to be. We all know that he banged up that right knee earlier this year. But to be able to see him go down and then pop back up and then be able to play on top of that is fantastic. So I'm giddy with that. The fact that he did not stay down, the fact that we still have Giannis on the court. Now, if he misses a few games, he misses a few games. Last time he had that knee injury, he missed 11 games. But man, oh man, it's thank God he got back up. I think that the story coming out of that game, not that you can sit there and drone on and on about it, but the fact that he got up last night when he went down and it looked relatively severe. When he was laying there, and I thought, oh, okay, he's going to get up. And then he didn't, and then he didn't. And then he didn't, and you could hear the arena get quieter and quieter, quieter, and everybody's just waiting. And then finally, when he got up, the place erupted. And then when he came back in, the place went even crazier. But man, oh man, oh man, last night was a scary moment for any Bucs fan to see Giannis laying there. So those are the two things I take away from last night. Also coming up tonight for the top spot in the Big East, Marquette back on the hardwood and taking on Xavier. By the way, I go through this every year, and I'm sure it's probably going to happen come tournament time, but I have a pet peeve. I grew up in that area. I know a lot of guys with the name. I know the school very well. It is Xavier. It is not Xavier. It is Xavier. It is not Xerox. It is Xerox. So I don't know why people insist on going Xavier, but it is. It's just for those that are out there that are listening to the program. You want to impress your friends, impress your friends. Say Xavier, not Xavier. I don't know why it bothers me so much, but it does. It'd be like people mispronouncing my last name all the time. I know I mispronounce names all the time. I get it. I try to get it right, but man, oh man, it is one of those things that's just sticks on me. So that's the old man in me yelling, "Get off my lawn" this morning. So I apologize.
So is that like Bengals instead of Bengals?
Right? It's Bengals. It's Bengals.
Bengals.
The Bengals, Bengals, Bengeals. Bengals. Yeah. It's not Bengals, like a Bengal bracelet. And people do that all the time. And then there's the Bengals. There's no bean. There's no bean in it. It's not Beangles. It's not that hard, but people screw that up all the. And you know what? Saying it fast at times, I will screw it up. And the other aspect of that is I don't think I have an accent. Do you, Ben? Do you think I have an accent? Because I know you don't have like a Philadelphia East Coast accent.
Well, I used to, and it's slowly gone away since I've lived here. Okay. I don't think you do.
I tried growing up in southwestern Ohio. There was a line of demarcation in the Western Hills area. If you lived below Glenway Avenue and east of Glenway Avenue, you had the hillbilly drawl, my dad used to say. Now, my dad was from Indiana, so my dad always had a little bit of a weirdness to him when he would talk, because sometimes he'd say stuff, and I'd just fall over laughing as a kid. My mom was an educator. My mom was the superintendent of Cincinnati schools growing up back in the 50s and 60s. So it was always very much proper education and proper pronunciation and such in my family. So that's the way I was taught. So I really tried to shake any Southern, because my friends will come up and everybody will look at them like, "What? You're not from here." And I don't really hear it as much. I do a little bit more now because I pay attention to it. But I really tried to get rid of any Southern drawl that I had. And my God, you go across the river, you go into Northern Kentucky, holy mackerel, it's like a whole new world over there. Holy moly. So anyway, trying to get past that. Yeah, it's like when people pronounce certain things down there versus here. It's just, it's a little bit different. Anyway, that being said, that's my screaming get off my lawn moment. So there you have it. So anyway, today feels weird. You know why today feels weird, Ben?
Why does it feel weird?
You got to think.
I don't know.
You got to think about it now, because you got to think about what today is.
Well, there's no huddle.
There you go. Right out of the chute. Today's a Wednesday. And normally today is my alarm went off this morning because today is pack up day. And I always get up in the morning on a Wednesday. I get up and I pack up the equipment. I pack up the second stash of stuff, the second board, all the headsets and everything. Because I'm back from Super Bowl now, and I pulled everything out. I cleaned it all up. I straightened everything out. I get everything ready for the next broadcast. And today my alarm went off, and there's an alarm that goes off at 5:45 on a Wednesday that says "Wake up, clean up." And I got up this morning and I popped out of bed. I was in this deep sleep. And Kristen and I are taking these new products, and eventually I think I might advertise them, but right now I'm not, but I will mention them coming up. But we're taking these new products, and this product helps you with rest and relaxation. And so, my God, when I'm out at night, I'm gone to the world. Holy mackerel, this stuff is fantastic. And then you wake up completely energized. So I get out of bed this morning, alarm goes off, I pop up, and I'm like, oh, okay. And I literally walked into the next room, into the guest room where I had everything laid out on the bed, and I started putting it away, and I went, oh, it like stabbed me in the heart for the first time. I realized football's over. Now we get a reprieve because you got the combine coming up, you got the draft coming up, you got then the mini camps, the rookie mini camps, OTAs, all that kind of stuff. But man, it was like today there's nothing. Something did piss me off today regarding football and regarding the Packers. But as far as the coverage of doing the huddle tonight, no bar to go to, so I'm not looking forward to somebody else's salad, no place to go. I feel like a homeless person at this point. It's kind of weird getting out of the NFL season. So that being said, we are going to discuss a few things that went on last night. We're going to talk about something really got under my skin today. I went downstairs. I made a little bit of breakfast, sat in front of the tube. I was watching the NFL Network, Good Morning Football. They're going over the tweet by Juju Smith-Schuster, which I think is completely Bush League. They're going over all of that, and then call comes back to Aaron Rodgers. We're only one day away from Aaron Rodgers going into the darkness, blah, blah, blah. Okay. And then they get into this discussion, and they go through all these different national talking heads, from Ross Tucker to Adam Schefter and everybody in between. And Ross said it on my show, and I asked him about it afterwards. And so I want to discuss this, because I'm going to now reach out to you, the listener, the people that hear things, see things, read things. I can't read everything. Ben can't read everything. We try to get all the information we possibly can. We try to gather as much as we can. And I even asked Mike Clemens about this. And Mike said, So I want to ask you a question when we come back regarding the Green Bay Packers. It pissed me off. And when people say, F the media, this is where I say, F the media. I'll tell you what it is I'm talking about when we come back. This portion of the program brought to you by our friends over there at Bud Light. They are the official beer sponsor of the Bill Michaels Sports Talk Network. Kind of sad we don't have a huddle tonight. But Bud Light, don't forget, summer's right around the corner. Whether you're celebrating a Bucs win or any other win for that matter, or maybe drowning your sorrows, you just want a good time, don't forget they have all kinds of beverages in the Bud Light lineup now, even the Bud Light seltzers, which are absolutely fantastic. Stay tuned. We got more of the Bill Michaels Show next.
This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
I got a terrific letter, or email, I should say email. People really don't write letters anymore, but I got a terrific letter from a gentleman last night who, it was just a couple of lines, but he just said, hey, Bill, I wanted to let you know that I took your advice and went down to Calderon Club. It was a busy night down there because of the Bucks game, but my wife and I truly enjoyed it. They gave us a corner table, and Alex, who is the server down there, was absolutely tremendous. You can't ask for a better atmosphere, and my God, you can't ask for better food. What a great recommendation, and it's a hidden gem in the city of Milwaukee. We are from La Crosse and came to Milwaukee to see our son, who is at UWM. But what a terrific Valentine's Day. They sent us a nice salute of amaretto, which he traditionally does, and had some tremendous cheesecake. Thank you so much for the advice. That is awesome. I love it, love it, love it when people do something and I say, hey, this is really good. Just try it out. And then they get back in touch with me. Thank you, Tim. And congratulations to you and your wife on a tremendous, Valentine's night and dinner down at Calderon Club. He did say I had the cider boys. My wife ended up having some Pinot Grigio. That's fine. They pair it up with cider boys down there when you ask for those specific dishes. But I was telling you, it's an awesome, awesome place. And the best Italian food you're ever going to put in your mouth. That is Calderon Club. And then thanks to our friends at San Giorgio as well. over there, the authentic Napolitana Pizzeria, and our friends at Point Brewing and Cider Boys. Just fantastic stuff. So that is wonderful. Now there's two things here, and I'm going to get to the one that I'm more kind of PO'd about, but I want to bring in Mike Clemens, who is joining us here on the hotline at this point. And Michael, how you doing today, man? Welcome back.
I think I've had Alex.
Yes.
And it's one thing when the place has got great food and it's delicious, but the one thing that puts you over the top is atmosphere, right?
Right.
And so, like, it's Valentine's, and you want to take, you're someone special out someplace, or you got family in, or you got a friend in, and really you want a good place to visit, and that's what those guys are so great at down there. It's just atmosphere, and
yeah. Give your sweetie the best meat you can possibly give her. There you go.
I suppose. I'm fine. I had a 3.5 hour plane ride yesterday, which made me reflect on the week, and I have 100 stories every time we do this and we go to the Super Bowl. My quick one is, let's see, the Eagles finished up their press conference at about 5 or 5:30 on Thursday afternoon, and you went to that Cigars in the Stars, right?
Mm-hmm, right.
So I'm out there in Chandler at the Wild Horse, and as literally the crews are now wrapping up cable after a week of press conferences, I'm in the hallway, and is it Chris Long? One of the former Eagles was there visiting, and then here he comes behind the curtain. Here comes Terry Bradshaw walking down the hallway, and he's looking around the hallway. Goes, God dang this place! Look at how nice this place is, golly! And talking to anybody in the lobby as he's walking through. He's on his way to get into the back of some limo or something, and he's walking right by me. He said, he's looking at me like as if it's a conversation that we're picking up, or like he knows me. He looks at me and he says, hell, when we were players, all we stayed at was a Holiday Inn. Do you remember Holiday Inn? I said, yeah. Yeah. I said, or if you were good, maybe you got to stay at the Ramada. Yeah. He said, in those planes. He said, we used to ride around in DC-8s. Do you know what those? Do you remember those are? I said,
Yep.
Yeah, 2 engines in the back. He said, yeah. I said, you must have been cramped. Hell, cramped. He said, that's probably why we went on those games. We were so angry from the plane flights, And, he just, all of a sudden, there's an audience of about 10, 12 people around him, and he's just going off like that. And then he's like, I got to go. And so he walks out and it's like, okay, there's a few moments with Terry Bradshaw.
Right.
And then, we're back at our house for the week at Super Bowl, and you turn on the TV and it's the honors show. And there he is doing the presentation, remembering Franco Harris and the in memoriam of all those great players and coaches that have passed in the past year. And that's what's so crazy about being at Super Bowl. 1 minute you're talking to this guy, the next minute he's on network TV, handing out honors awards. So little stuff like that. I wanted to call you about, I got home last night and then I sit down and I turn on the tape of yesterday's McAfee show with Aaron Rodgers. And of course, now for the last couple of years, Pat McAfee has come to Radio Row. Now, as you point out, it's called Media Row.
Mm-hmm.
But, Aaron Rodgers made that show. They were a friend. He's this former punter is streaming, and he's got some pretty hip takes on football and sports in general. And he's a funny, entertaining guy. But Aaron Rodgers came on. He got some big ratings. Then all of a sudden he got a huge national sponsor. And now they're broadcasting with you and all these other networks at the Super Bowl. So he owes that to Aaron. Fine. Great. They talked for 40 minutes yesterday. And as much as I know Aaron Rodgers and like him, and he's good to us in terms of just a guy to talk to about football and everything. I mean, he just sounded nuts yesterday. Absolutely nuts. Because it's like, okay, I'll go down the road with you, Aaron, that you need to do a cleanse where you're in total darkness and subjecting yourself to this stuff to, sort of come to grips with life and meditate and all that. Okay, fine. Like talking to Marquez Valdez-Scantling. Hey, if that's what works for the guy, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Him and Tom Brady with his TB12, they're out there discovering things that maybe will all of us will apply in our lives someday.
Right.
Okay, fine, whatever. But the fact is, he started, ripping, and then he would go back and forth. These guys like Ian Rappaport and Adam Schefter, they're reporting that I'm going in this weekend. It's wrong. I'm not going until next weekend. So he wanted to come on only to stress to say, look, I've got my inner circle. And he called it his inner circle several times. David Dunn, the agent, a couple of assistants, maybe a friend or so.
Mm-hmm.
And he says, they are not talking to any of these guys in the media. So anytime these guys say something about me, and so he spent the better part of 40 minutes laughing it off, kind of having fun, kind of playing cat and mouse, only to say, I'm going in this weekend. I didn't go the weekend of the Super Bowl. I haven't done it yet, but I'll be going this weekend. And then Pat would come back and say, oh, so you're going in Friday? Well, I didn't say that. I'm just saying I'm going in this weekend. And they went back and forth like that for 40 minutes. And I'm telling you, if I'm Robert Salah in the New York Jets and I'm looking at this, it's like, this guy's lost it. He's lost it.
Why?
He's embarrassing himself.
Here's my and I don't understand why the necessary back and forth of being cryptic. You know what I mean? I granted he didn't say that, but then again, when he gets questioned on things like that, and he gets seemingly frustrated, everybody has a right to question him now because he basically lied. He misled people about his immunization and vaccination and all that kind of stuff. Going back to that, up until that point, you pretty much just took him at his word, and then you could ask him something and he would answer it. Now he wants to do all this cryptic stuff for whatever reason. And it's exhausting to have a conversation almost with him or listen to his conversation anymore, isn't it?
If let's say he doesn't want the media outside the clinic that he's going to do this thing for 4 hours with satellite trucks. Maybe that's it. Okay. Maybe that's what he needs to say, but cryptic is a perfect word for it, Bill. Just say it. Or if you're not going to say it, give us some reasons why, but be straight. But he laughs and he plays this cat and mouse. And, it's so funny. One minute he talks about, anti-media. And then the next minute he says, listen, I know that Adam and those guys, they do a great job. It's a tough job. They're trying to keep it updated. I'm just saying these guys are not talking to anybody in my inner circle, because if they are, they're not going to be in my inner circle anymore.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he talks in circles.
Right.
He's talking in circles. And he looks great. He's got a nice haircut, looks younger than ever before.
Right.
But it's just like, if that's the way this guy is, how do I work with that?
Right.
Because when he comes in, he's going to be in tremendous shape, and he's smarter than can be and all. But it gets to be too much, man. And you know what? I don't know what the Packers are thinking. But if they wanted to move on, this guy's making it easy for him.
Right.
If you watched 40 minutes of that thing yesterday, if Mark Murphy and Goody have changed their minds and said, you know what, let's give Jordan a try and we'll do whatever, see if we can pick up another quarterback in this year's draft. We'll get a bunch of extra draft picks from somebody. But I'll tell you what, after watching 40 minutes of that, as well as I know this guy, and to have Marquez Valdez-Scantling say, hey, man, that's my guy, man. I'm a kid from Florida. I get to the Green Bay Packers. This guy teaches me so much after 4 years. I get a nice 3-year deal out of the Kansas City Chiefs, and now I got a Super Bowl ring. I took a picture of him coming off the field. He came right up to me,
right,
and said, hey, man, I got a ring. He only had one targeted pass. So he's grateful for what Aaron Rodgers did for him and his family and all that to get to that level. So I say, hey, whatever way Aaron wants to do in his own time, that's his own thing. So, that's part of the story. I respect that. But this is just silly. He kind of is wasting everybody's time, and he may get his wish.
Hey, Mike, do you got a second to hold? Because I want to play something for you when we come back, and then I want your reaction to it, okay?
Will do.
Stay tuned. Mike Clemens joining us on the hotline, and it's, kind of saying what a lot of people are thinking, to be quite honest with you. This portion of the program brought to you by our friends at Skipper Buds. Now is the time, if you're going to start thinking about the summer months, now's the time to start thinking about new, used, maybe something from the 2022 stock in inventory that is still sitting there, because the 2023s, I just drove past there yesterday, the one in Pewaukee, and they're lining up, man. They're lining up. They have got a lot of inventory that's sitting there getting ready to be placed in the showroom, and it's sitting right outside because they need to make room. So the 2023s are still hanging. So if you're looking for a terrific deal for new, used, whatever it may be, pontoon, yachts, sport and deck boats, fishing boats, Skipper Buds, they have got it. And my buddy Todd over there, the general manager, he's making the deals. 262-544-1200. 262-544-1200. It's right off of the highway in Pewaukee, out in Waukesha. Again, 262-544-1200. Go in and tell them I said hi. It'll give you a little bit of a discount when it comes to a boat, but get a hold of our buddy Todd over there. He's the general manager, and he says, hey, Bill, look, we need to move the 2022s. We got a great used inventory, but the news are coming in like almost on the daily in truckloads. So again, 262-544-1200. That's our friends from Skipper Buds. Mike Clemens, more coming up next.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 5 minutes. Will for Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Welcome back to the program. Reach for the stars. 400 grand in cash and prizes every Thursday in the month of February from our friends at Potawatomi Hotel Casino. Bingo is back. The Dream Dance Steakhouse is back. The Canal Street Cafe is back. The 360 Bar is back. Stay and play packages are available. Terrific place, terrific times. That's Potawatomi Hotel Casino. Go to paysbig.com. That is paysbig.com for all the details. That's our friends at Potawatomi Hotel Casino. So joining us on the hotline is our buddy Mike Clemens. So Mike, I was listening to this. Ross Tucker said this same thing on my program when we were sitting there on Radio Row as well. Take a listen to what he said yesterday, and I want to talk to you about this. Here's what he had to say.
On the Aaron Rodgers one, Packers are open. If that's what he wants, that's what the Packers want. The Packers want to trade him, and they're hoping that Rodgers is willing to play ball because no one wants to pay him $60 million fully guaranteed unless he wants to be there and he's all in. So the next phase of this is probably the Packers letting Rodgers talk to some of the other teams. But it seems abundantly clear that the Packers want to move on, and they're really hoping that Rodgers accommodates them and A, agrees to play, and then B, agrees to be traded.
So, Mike, I want to ask you because I heard Ross say it. I've heard Ian Rappaport say it. Schefter say it. I was watching the other morning with yesterday morning with Good Morning Football and this morning. They both said it where they're saying, Roger, the Packers really want to move on. They've made it clear. Has anybody reported anything from the Packers? Because the last I heard was Brian Gutekunst saying, one, Aaron gives them the best chance to win. Two, they don't know if Jordan Love can win. And three, that we're not saying anything or doing anything until Aaron Rodgers makes a decision. Have you heard anything to the contrary?
Do you think that Mark Murphy and Brian Gutekunst today on the 15th of February say, okay, if we trade Aaron and Jordan Love is average, they're going to be tiki torches in the parking lot. And, how did you ever trade this guy away?
Right.
That if Aaron Rodgers goes to another team and has a moderate amount of success, a winning record like Favre did with the Jets, 15 years ago, that people are going to be coming after them and saying, what were you doing? How could you let this guy go? I think that's the end decision here. And from a pure football operations standpoint, when I asked Gutekunst, You guys knew that your quarterback had a broken thumb at the final play of offense against the Giants in London. When you're looking at that, you got the Jets and the Commanders on the schedule. Why don't you just say, look, rest the guy with the broken thumb, let the kid play a game or two, so that the veteran can be ready for the second half of the season and make a run at this thing. And his reply was, we want the best chance to win. So I think he feels like putting in Aaron Rodgers means that's the best chance to win the game, that the most secure decision to make.
Mm-hmm.
That Jordan Love will win football games in the NFL, but it could take him a season to learn how to win a game. That's what I think he thinks. And as opposed to, a Brock Purdy Cinderella story where you go in and you go 7-0 off the bench, the last pick in the draft, that's not what he's banking on. I think he thinks that Jordan Love could lose, 3 out of 4 games before he starts winning, 4 out of 6 or something. And so that's where I think Goody is at right now with this decision. In terms of what Ross says is like, get real. $60 million for a guy who's not going to come to OTAs? No. And when you see Patrick Mahomes, the way he did it, went through all the OTAs, and he did it without Tyreek Hill. Patrick Mahomes just won a Super Bowl without his Devontae Adams and got better at it.
Right.
That's the point that needs to be driven home to 12. That's the challenge.
That's what I said Monday, Mike. That's how I started the show, was what I learned coming out of that game. And you and I were there when Patrick Mahomes talked about getting into camp, getting on the same page with his guys, getting on the same page with his coach. We had to play different. We had to scheme different, all these different things. He said, yeah, we lost Tariq, but it forced us to be better players. All of the things that we were talking about going back to training camp, going, well, okay, if Cobby's going to coach him up, and in the meantime, Aaron's on this plane saying, I'm the 200 level. You guys are all beneath me. I hope you're up to my level by the time I get there. Instead of saying, let me help you get to my level. Let me come down to your level to work with you the way Patrick Mahomes did. Mahomes has 2 MVPs and 2 Super Bowls and makes it look effortless. And you've got the most cerebral guy, one of the best quarterback tacticianally in the NFL ever, saying, no, it's beneath me almost to be able to go in there and do that now.
Well, Alan Lazard sat out last spring.
Right.
Because, well, hey, if the quarterback's not there, I don't need to catch passes from Jordan Love. I'll show up for mini camps as well, and then I'll get my 1-year tender. And by doing that, I'm probably going somewhere else in the NFL. That's what Lazard's feeling was. All right, whatever. I'll be like MVS. I'll get more money because these guys are not going to pay it. Or, like MVS told us, Bill, hey, listen, I wanted to be with Green Bay, but my agent said, they haven't signed Elton Jenkins yet. They haven't signed Jair yet, and they got to do the money for the quarterback. Let me get on the phone, call around to some others. Hey, the Chiefs have got an offer. You want to go there?
Mm-hmm.
Really?
Right? Yeah.
Okay, all right. And you said there was 2 or 3 other teams interested. Well, there's one that's closer to home, and there's this, and the Packers did call. Okay, yeah, they gave sort of a minimum offer, maybe 1 year. Okay, all right. Yeah, what the hell? I'll take the 3-year deal with the Chiefs. And there he is with a ring. And other people are going to see that and just say, time to get going.
Right.
Time to get off this bus and try another one.
So before I let you go, Mike, going back to my original question was, I haven't heard anybody say specifically or attribute it to a report from a source or anything that the Packers want to move on, though. You know what I mean? I keep waiting for somebody to say sources from inside the Packers, sources from inside such and such, sources from,
nothing's been sourced.
It's all just speculation.
Oh yeah, no, that's just speculation. That's just Roster talking with his gut, and that's people, even though Adam Brandt is on his show, and he's based it on still his feel for the organization, even though he hasn't been there in over 10 years. But no one's got anything more than what Gutekunst said at his last press conference now going on 2, 3, 4 weeks ago. And then, the next one's going to be March 1st. Here's the other thing, though, too. Brian's got to say, listen, we have two great quarterbacks under contract. That's a good place to be. Ask Kyle Shanahan what it's like to go through 3 or 4 quarterbacks and lose your season accordingly. I would love to have Aaron Rodgers and Jordan Love as my quarterbacks for 2023. That could be the best quarterback combination. That's what he's supposed to do, is fill out a depth chart. So that's his best option. But he's got to wait for the 39-year-old to make up his damn mind if he wants to come back for another year.
Yep.
Hey, there's one other thing I want to tell you about. The game is over Sunday night, right?
Right.
So there's that minute where, on the elevators you can look and you can watch, but it's like, okay, I'm going to go now. I want to go now, and I want to get to the Chiefs locker room first, because I was confident that once Andy, got the ball back after the James Bradford penalty, that he was going to be able to work the clock, and I could see this, in progress. But at one point, I get down to the ground floor, and I'm watching as Mahomes is, eating up the clock that last minute to secure the win, and the Eagles fans are already filing out. And I just stood and I watched this steady river of 1,000 people passing every minute out of that stadium before the game was even over. And they've come from Pennsylvania, they've come from Philadelphia, or they're Eagles fans from all around the country. Most of them wearing Eagles shirts and that kind of thing. But every one of these people has paid at least $3,000 a ticket to sit and watch this game.
Mm-hmm.
$3,000. What's the face value? Like $1,200 right now, something like that.
12 to 1,500, yeah.
But all the ticket brokers online, in the media, were saying, "Hey, we're easily getting anywhere from $4,000 to $5,000 to $6,000 for these tickets." And actually, the prices were down from last year in LA because all the Hollywood people. But you look at it and say, these all must be for good families, man. I don't know.
Right.
I don't know. 9 out of 10 people listening right now, if the Green Bay Packers are in the Super Bowl in Las Vegas, are you really going to pay $6,000 for 2 of you to go? Or are you going to drop $16,000 for a family of 4 to go to the Super Bowl? Are you really going to? And so as I watch these people go by, not a lot of them were that emotional. It was kind of a Cinderella season and all that. There was one
Thanks,
guy.
Mike. This makes me feel a lot better.
Yeah.
Come on.
There was one guy, probably about 55 years old, good looking, journey. Isn't it weird how you could be in a stadium with 7,000 people, and when you're in the parking lot and you're walking in, you walk in with the same people, and then for some reason you're walking out with the same people? And I recognize this guy because I saw him pregame on the phone talking to some family. Yeah, we're here. Yeah, we're all set. No, we're looking forward to it. The same guy he walked by says, "That was a good game. It's a good game. It's too bad it got ruined by the ref. It was a good game." And I'm thinking, wow, that's what that guy spent that money on. That's his experience from that, holding on to that stub, and that's his memory. But I think the league has really got to rethink about what people are spending to get to that thing. There's other ways that they can find ways to do money, but everybody, if you've been a long-time season ticket holder and fan and all that kind of stuff, and your team finally makes it to the Super Bowl, you ought to be able to do it for something more face value as opposed to taking out a small loan to get the tickets.
Yeah, we've been talking about those crazy prices for years and years. Mike, good stuff as always, man. Glad you're back safe. And we had a hell of a trip. We got a million stories to share at some point.
Yeah, and thanks to you, man. Thanks for doing it and having such a great show. And so, yeah, we'll wait for Rodgers to emerge, and then for March 1st, I'll be talking to you from Indianapolis from the Combine.
Yeah, that's right. We got Combine right around the corner. Maybe we'll go. Well, we haven't really applied for that yet. Maybe we could. I don't know. We'll figure it out. Mike, good stuff as always, bud.
Thank you, Bill.
Talk to you. There you go. Mike Clemens joining us for a couple of minutes on the hotline.
I can't believe he just did that.
Well,
you could have sent the message of the tickets being expensive without just grabbing a dagger and sticking it through my chest. Oh, they weren't that sad.
I guess the point is that it's, you got people streaming out, and you paid so much, and the way the game ends, and all the other things that have gone on with it too. Don't forget, I mean, there's still people complaining about the field. I'm not necessarily one of them, but there's people complaining about the field, the objectivity of the officials, the thought process that the game is now becoming kind of like the NBA, that there's an end to this, which I think is crazy ridiculous, but there's that perception. So because I saw all of that spin this past week. 877-867-1670. Don't forget, we got Mark Schofield of SB Nation coming up after the top of the hour. Hang in there for that. More of the Bill Michaels Show coming up after this.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Everywhere you look, from groceries to utilities to gas, prices keep going up. Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin can dramatically help lower your energy costs year-round by replacing drafty windows and doors in as little as 6 weeks. And now you can save even more by taking advantage of 0% interest for up to 48 months when you lock in your prices by February 28th. I'm Gina Della from Pella. Bring the love of Wisconsin's outdoors in through the beauty and quality craftsmanship of Pella Windows and Doors. Whether you're updating or upgrading the look and comfort of your home, Pella has extensive lines of customizable options to meet your needs and your budget, no matter the season. Replacing drafty windows and doors can dramatically lower your energy costs. Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin offers some of the most energy efficient windows in the industry, designed to keep the cold outside where it belongs. Lock in your prices by February 28th and get 0% interest for up to 48 months. Visit PellaWI.com.
Certain restrictions apply.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
I got again, going back to some notes that people sent me yesterday. A listener attached a picture and tagged me on Facebook. And it was really cool because they were at Buzzard Billy's, and then they went upstairs to the Starlight Lounge and had a great meal and great drinks after the fact. And Rodney, I wanted to say thank you. He said, just Bill, simply love this place. Love this place, with a picture of the Starlight Lounge. Rodney said the food at Buzzard Billy's was great, too. Hopefully see you next time when you're over here in God's country. And I said, I love that place, and I certainly will let you know when I'm over in that direction. Starlight Lounge and Buzzard Billy's out in La Crosse. Fantastic places. Fantastic places. Coming up after the top of the hour, we got Mark Schofield. SB Nation is going to be joining us, so we're looking forward to that and kind of wrapping things up with him and his thoughts on the NFL season as it continues on. So we'll talk more with Mark Schofield one more time, and we'll bring Mark in probably during the NFL draft to getting into that and maybe what the Packers' needs are. My buddy Dwayne sent me a note over on the Facebook, on the Bud Light live stream a little bit earlier. And one of the things that he had asked me, he said, well, are the Packers going to draft it differently depending on Rodgers? I don't think so. The only reason you would draft differently is because, let's say you do move on from Rodgers. Say, okay, look, all of the supporting cast, you don't have right now certain guys anyway because they're not under contract. They could be free agents, which would be like a Randall Cobb if he decided to come back, which would be like a Mercedes Lewis and such. But for the most part, a lot of these guys are pretty much locked up. Adrian Amos would be one of the guys that's on the market. Possibly if you would decide to cut and try to gain more money, you could cut David Bakhtiari if you want to go in that direction. But no, I think your needs are your needs. Now if they decide to say cut bait with Aaron Jones, and then maybe you really have to concentrate on getting yourself a running back. But I think the needs are the needs right now. So I would still add more weaponry. I would still add more depth in the trenches. Those are the things that I'm looking at, regardless of who's under center, to make this team better. 1 hour down. We got 3 more yet to go. The Bill Michaels Show. We continue on. Speaking of Dwayne, our buddy at Dwayne's Cover It All up in Wausau. Go to Dwayne's, Duanes, Dwayne's Cover It All in Wausau, Wisconsin, and by far Wisconsin's best upholstery, canvas, boat cover provider. The other day, somebody said he was doing some desk chairs. They were doing some dining room chairs, some office chairs, all kinds of good stuff. Get a hold of our buddy Dwayne, 715-870-2119, 715-870-2119. More to go right after this.
This is a Wisconsin Sports Zone update.
While some clutch free throw shooting and defensive stops had Wisconsin hold on to beat Michigan 64-59 last night at the Kohl Center. Now, in the second half, the Badgers would go the last 10 minutes and 45 seconds without hitting a single one of their last 15 shots they took, but they went 12 of 14 from the line, and Connor Essegian would score a career-high 23 points.
Yeah, we seem to keep doing the same thing, towards the end of games, and, we just got to keep finding ways to, grind it out however we need to get the win. And so tonight showed even when, shots aren't falling, we can find a way to get it done. So we just got to continue to do that, in these last few games we have in this regular season.
Wisconsin, who now sits 15-10 on the year, 7-8 in Big Ten play, will host Rutgers on Saturday. To the NBA, last night the Bucks would beat the Celtics 131-125 in overtime for their 11th straight win. Drew Holiday matched a career-high 40 points and made the go-ahead three-pointer with 25.2 seconds left in OT. Milwaukee still sits second in the East with a record of 40-17, but are just a half game back from the first-place Celtics.
Are you a non-union construction tradesperson proud of what you do? Did you know you're worth so much more than what you're bringing home today? Put the power of LiUNA Union Labor to work for you. When you join LiUNA, you get the pay you deserve, plus pension and healthcare benefits above and beyond your compensation. That's zero deductions for pension and healthcare benefits with LiUNA, because you're worth it. Learn more at liunawisconsin.org/join.
Yesterday on the Pat McAfee Show, Aaron Rodgers says his darkness retreat will begin at the end of this week, but did say before he signed off that 18 years in Green Bay will always be considered his home. And finally, out of the majors, pitchers and catchers have begun to report. The Brewers will get underway tomorrow. For the Wisconsin Sports Zone Network, I'm Ebo.
Good to have you back. And this hour brought to you by our terrific friends over there at Quick Trip. Quick Trip has bacon right now on sale. We all know everything goes better with bacon, and the price is so good that they say limit two. Limit two. They have bread on sale. The milk is obviously fantastic. You can't get any better than that. But man, oh man, the Quick Trip specials they run, and don't forget when you go in there, use those Quick Rewards cards. Holy moly! Use your Quick Rewards cards. You can earn yourself some discounts, take away some of the pain at the pump, even get yourself some car wash coupons. There's all kinds of good stuff over at Quick Trip, but I use them almost every day. And when I start traveling again come summertime, that's like home away from home because everywhere I go in the state of Wisconsin, whether it's cigar dinners, affiliate visits, golf tournaments, whatever we happen to do, man, we're using Quick Trip all the time, and I can't sing praises enough about everything that Quick Trip has, including the take-home meals that are hot and ready to go. So check out our friends over there at Quick Trip. Joining us now on the hotline, our buddy Mark Schofield from SB Nation, and joining us here. Mark, how you doing?
I'm doing well, Bill. Great to be back with you. Looking forward to diving into the Super Bowl and all the other stuff we're going to get into. Always great to be on.
Let's start first and foremost with the game itself. I know a lot of people are complaining about the ticky-tack call, and I understand it. I don't agree with throwing a flag at that point, especially when it didn't really disrupt the route or such of the receiver, but it is what it is. But to me, I look at the fumble and the punt return. Those two plays alone turned the tide and probably were anywhere from a 10 to a 14-point swing in that ball game. And had neither one of those happened, then I think it's a different outcome.
Yeah, the punt return was massive. And I think it's important to remember that Philadelphia brought their punter back off of being injured, because he got injured in December on a muffed punt situation. They brought him back and he hit the line drive, and the Chiefs did have a return set up to the right side. The punt was a line drive to the left. So Tony, had to do a good job of getting around to the blockers to the other side of the field. And he made a number of defenders miss, a number of coverage players. But that was the opportunity, that big return. I think you're right. That was a huge play because it all set Kansas City up. First and goal situation. You have the fumble from Hurts where he's just trying to change hands, put the ball in the outside hands like you're taught to do when you first start playing the sport. Ball to the outside, ball to the sideline. That's what he's trying to do, and just dropped it. So a critical mistake in that moment. And I also think that you got to give a lot of credit to Andy Reid and Eric Bieniemy and their advanced scouting, because some of the stuff they did down to the red zone with the motion, the shifting, identifying Philadelphia's motion rules, knowing how to break them, finding an example of Doug Peterson breaking those rules in a game between Philadelphia and Jacksonville earlier this year. I think they deserve a lot of credit on the staff for finding that, and of course the players for executing. And I also think we have to give a lot of credit to that offensive line, because going into that game, one of the things that people, I said it all week long, look, Eagles are so good at getting pressure with 4, Hassan Reddick, 16 sacks on the regular season, 13 over the right tackle spot. Andrew Wiley, Kansas City right tackle, giving up 9 sacks, most among the Chiefs. That could be in a situation where that defensive front could wear on Kansas City, get pressure on Mahomes. The offensive line played extremely well. Wiley played extremely well. And so I think, for me watching that game, on Sunday, rewatching it on Monday, those were the factors that stood out to me.
I know the discussion's been about the field, and I get it that Arizona is notorious for painting the field. They send it out. It's a very tight weave, water, all yada, yada, whatever. But it didn't really seem to affect the Kansas City Chiefs too much. For all the griping and complaining that the field was chunking up, and it was, and many of the fields do, and that guys were slipping. It was more so on the Eagles than it was on Kansas City, and that's because Kansas City was wearing longer cleats to begin with. So I know the field looked somewhat embarrassing by the NFL, but overall, it really that wasn't a huge factor in this,
Yeah, and it's also important to remember, and a lot of Eagles players said it. Both teams had to play on it. Both teams had to either adjust their footing, adjust their cleats, adjust what they were doing. And perhaps this is just an example of Kansas City doing a better job. And this might be, when we go into and come out of a Super Bowl, we always think about, how the Super Bowl is a different game than what players are used to. You've got the longer halftime. You've got, the longer commercial breaks at times. You've got little subtle differences between your regular NFL game and the Super Bowl. And it's one of those things where being there, having been there before, can make a difference. And, perhaps from Kansas City's perspective, having been to a couple of different Super Bowls and I'm, been in that environment and knowing that, footing could be different. You got to make changes. You got to be ready for things like that. Perhaps they were able to either change footing, change cleats, make adjustments quicker than Philadelphia was. And that could have also played a difference because there were moments where, guys like Reddick off the edge. I remember one play where, he slips off the edge and Wiley's able to bury him. But both teams had to deal with it. Kansas City dealt with it better. And that might be one of those examples of having been there before and that knowledge that comes with that paying off for the Chiefs.
Now the offseason begins. The Chiefs, I thought it was remarkable, some of the things that, Patrick Mahomes talked about getting, in early, working with the new guys, losing Tyreek Hill, Chris Jones talking about the offense or the defense and what they needed to accomplish this season. They started off really slow, and then how the team all came together. Now things begin to change. You got Juju Smith-Schuster. He's going to be a free agent, and whether or not he comes back, we'll have to wait and see. And there's going to be some change there. Obviously, there's going to be a lot of uphill battles to be able to be climbed when it talks about Joe Burrow, Josh Allen. You start to go through the rest of the quarterbacks and the good teams in the AFC, while the NFC, it's still the Eagles on top. Possibly a close second could be maybe the Cowboys and San Francisco. But after that, there's not a lot. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I think it's going to be interesting because, I know a huge topic of conversation over the next weeks and months, really, as free agency gets going, is going to be potential unprecedented quarterback movement. If you're a quarterback, say you're Derek Carr, and you're thinking about where you might want to land in free agency, I think you look at the AFC to see how stacked that conference is, like all the teams you just mentioned, all the quarterbacks that are there. And then you look at the NFC where you've got the Eagles, the Cowboys, the 49ers, and then some question marks. And you think, if I want to make a run, I want to try to find my way to the NFC if I can, if there's an opportunity, if there's a landing spot to be found. Or perhaps if you're a quarterback that's facing a decision about what he wants to do, maybe you stay in the NFC. And so, I think the balance of power seems to have shifted to the AFC. You look at certainly what Kansas City has done. And I think it's going to be interesting. You mentioned the receivers in Kansas City. I think when they made both the Sky Moore selection in the draft and the Kadarius Toney trade, there's some thinking that those were made with an eye towards next season, right? Because you have MVS, you have obviously Juju Smith-Schuster, who's on a one-year deal, now a free agent. You've now got players that will have a year in your system that you look to next year. And so they might sort of reload at that position. But overall, you look at the AFC, you look at the NFC, and AFC seems very deep. NFC's a little thin at the top. Might make for intriguing decisions come quarterback and free agent movement time.
Talking about Mark Schofield of SB Nation, at Mark Schofield over on Twitter if you want to find him there. Now, I know I'm getting asked whether or not Rodgers does or doesn't come back. What's it going to mean for the Green Bay Packers this offseason? I still have a suspicion. I have a feeling that more likely Rodgers is back with the Packers than he is elsewhere. But that being said, we know what the Packers need. They need a pass-catching tight end. They may have to replace Adrian Amos at safety. They need more help on the outside, probably a veteran. And in depth, it's not like they are completely bereft of talent. I don't think they're that far away from getting right back into the playoff talk. And we saw that towards the second half, the end of the season, when they started reeling off some wins. They unfortunately fell to the Detroit Lions. But I don't think they're as far away as a lot of people think they are. Do you?
I'm right there with you, Bill. And we've kind of talked about this a little bit. We talked about it when the season ended that, It's not like they need massive upgrades at like 5 or 6 different positions, and you're going to have to do a lot of work in the offseason there. You find more fine-tuning type moves than anything. And you mentioned the tight end position. This is a fantastic draft in offseason to need an upgrade at the tight end position or need an addition at the tight end position. You have Michael Meyer, the Notre Dame tight end, Dalton Kincaid from Utah, Darnell Washington, the massive tight end at Georgia. I mean, you might have 3 in the first round right there, and there's some depth at that position as well. There's some talented safeties in the draft, another position you mentioned. I think there are some other positions in this draft, offensive line, that have some depth to them. Cornerback is extremely deep, not a need, in Green Bay, but it's an intriguing draft class from that position. But you're right. The Packers are closer, I think, particularly given everything we just talked about with the conference at large, to being back in the mix than maybe other people believe. And again, I think that might play a role in what Rodgers decides to do. I think what we talked about down the stretch and, the chemistry that started to develop between him and Christian Watson. I remember you and I talking a lot about how these two are getting on the same page, and that might be something that sparks Rodgers and an interest in coming back for another year. And so I think the Packers are close. It's a good draft in some of the areas that they could address this offseason. And I think it might weigh heavily in what he decides to do in the next couple of days.
First of all, like I said, I think that as much as Rodgers doesn't want to be talked about, he wants to be talked about. And as much as we don't want to get into the same old, it's like putting out fires because you keep hearing things that none of them are from sources. It's just opinion that becomes substantiated in some way, shape, or form that really isn't. And we sit here today just spinning and waiting. So give me your thoughts on this before I let you go. I mean, if you have to, pick a destination and or landing spot and or starting point for Aaron Rodgers going into next season, where do you think it is?
I mean, I think he's back. I think he's back in Green Bay. Mainly for a lot of the reasons we just talked about. You and I have also talked about sort of the legacy aspect to, being the Green Bay Packers quarterback, potentially the best quarterback in franchise history, winning another Super Bowl in Green Bay, the opportunity to, because if you start thinking about potential landing spots for him, Las Vegas with the Ravens, sure, but you're going to play Mahomes twice, you're going to play Herbert twice, you're going to play Sean Payton and Russell Wilson twice, you're going to come out of the AFC. I mean, I think that poses a massive challenge. And, maybe at some level the competitor Rodgers thinks, I want to go do that. But I think at this point, the idea of staying in Green Bay, making another run, I think there's an appeal to that as well. The domino that I'm sort of curious about is the Derek Carr angle, because we know the Jets are interested. We know the Nathaniel Hackett link to Aaron Rodgers and the Jets has been talked about. But does Carr try to sort of get first mover advantage? Because I think the Jets are a very nice landing spot. If he goes there, that might be another sort of domino in the idea that, all right, well, I'm not going to go to the Big Apple because, like you said, Rodgers does like to sort of keep himself in the conversation. Playing quarterback for the New York Jets in New York City and that media market is a way to do that. But if that sort of gets taken away, if that sort of chair in the game of quarterback musical chairs is now occupied by Derek Carr, yet one more reason I think he ends up back in Green Bay.
Good stuff as always, my buddy. I appreciate it. And I know it's been a hell of a season. We look forward to getting you back on specifically during the draft, and we'll touch base then, okay?
Sounds great, my friend. Thanks so much for everything, Bill. It's been a blast all season long. We'll talk again soon.
Appreciate it, Mark. Talk to you soon. There you go. Mark Schofield, SB Nation. You can read his stuff at Mark Schofield, Schofield, Schofield. And great stuff from Mark all season long. We certainly appreciate his input. You know what? I want to go back to some things that I had posted on Twitter and on Facebook. A quick write. And some people just are exactly what it is I discuss that drives me nuts. So I want to tell you about it when we come back. Hang in there. We got a lot more of the Bill Michaels Show coming up. This portion of the program going on not only up north, but right here in our own backyard, all throughout the state and all throughout the great nation that is the World Wide Web. But our friends up north, where we're going to be next weekend at the Four Seasons Island Resort, I'm really looking forward to it. It's the Mardi Gras weekend. And Friday, Saturday, Sunday, going to be a good time. Friday and Saturday night up there specifically are going to be a lot of fun. But they have a terrific thing planned. Dinners planned, Mardi Gras stuff planned, wine tastings, beverages, you name it. It's all going to be taking place over there on the island, on the Muscano Island and the Four Seasons Island Resort. You want to get a hold of our girl, Barb. Not many rooms left, so you want to get in on this. Tell them you heard it here, because when you say, I heard it on Bill Michaels Show, they give you a discount. So make sure you tell them you heard it here. Call Barb now. If you're thinking about going up, doing a little partying, hanging out on the island, pools, hot tubs, saunas, ice cream parlors, spas, all that kind of good stuff. Maybe if you still want to head up on the trails, you can. If the winter storm hits tomorrow and dumps more snow, call Barb 715-938-5110. 715-938-5110. That's the Four Seasons Island Resort in Pembine, Wisconsin, and their sister resort up in Iron Mountain, Michigan, Pine Mountain Resort. If you're looking to do some skiing, they still have plenty of snow up there. So head on up. But either way, the Miscano Island Mardi Gras party, February 25th. They have dining specials, entertainment both Friday and Saturday. No admission. Just come on up, stay the night, hang out. Or if you just want to go there, you can. But that's the Four Seasons Island Resort, 715-938-5110. Get a hold of our girl, Barb. More of the Bill Michaels Show next.
Ready? This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Everywhere you look, from groceries to utilities to gas, prices keep going up. Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin can dramatically help lower your energy costs year-round by replacing drafty windows and doors in as little as 6 weeks. And now you can save even more by taking advantage of 0% interest for up to 48 months when you lock in your prices by February 28th. I'm Gina Della from Pella. Bring the love of Wisconsin's outdoors in through the beauty and quality craftsmanship of Pella Windows and Doors. Whether you're updating or upgrading the look and comfort of your home, Pella has extensive lines of customizable options to meet your needs and your budget, no matter the season. Replacing drafty windows and doors can dramatically lower your energy costs. Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin offers some of the most energy efficient windows in the industry, designed to keep the cold outside where it belongs. Lock in your prices by February 28th and get 0% interest for up to 48 months. Visit PellaWI.com.
Certain restrictions apply.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Welcome back to the program. Glad to have you. So I tell you all the time about some of our fun bars and places we go and hang out. They have got over at Curly's Waterfront Pub and Grill coming up this Sunday. I'm going to try to get over that way. They have their ice golf tournament. I don't know how the ice is, but they have the ice golf tournament going on. $10 a person, no age limit. It's at Curly's Waterfront Pub and Grill, and the ice golf gets underway 10 a.m. The shotguns start at 11 a.m. The raffles are from 12 to 4. And they've got meat raffles, basket raffles. Bourbon basket is back. And I'll tell you this, if you're a bourbon or a whiskey drinker, they have got Elijah Craig, Eagle Rare, Bardstown, Bourbon Cream, Woodford Reserve, the Double Bake, and the Whistle Pig Piggyback, all up for raffle, which when you start to add all that stuff together, it's quite a bit. Eagle Rare is a lot cheaper when you get out of the state of Wisconsin. But man, is it good stuff. I love every one of those. So I'm going to get in on that. Even if I'm actually going to go over and drop some money off today to say hi to the gang over at Curly's because I want to be in on this. I don't know if we're going to be back in time after the raffle, after heading up to Four Seasons to get in. But I do want to contribute because it goes to autism and it's a hell of a prize package. So if I possibly win it, it'd be fantastic. But man, oh man, if you want to go to a good place coming up again, the next week, they're going to have a hell of an event going on. And that is going to take place Sunday, February 26th, the ice golf and meat raffle for autism. It's going to be fantastic. Ryan's buying the place too, which is awesome. So Ryan's always kind of been the GM and a family has owned it. And Ryan's just kind of ran the place. It's always ran tremendously. So Ryan just texted me today and said, hey, I'm thinking about buying it, but can you come on over and say hi? And absolutely. So Curly's Waterfront Pub and Grill out there on Pewaukee Lake. Can't wait to get over there. Can't wait till Ryan takes it over. It's going to be a fantastic, fun time. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. If you want to hit us up, please feel free. Go ahead and do so. Again, 877-867-1670. So I want to address something. By the way, he's listening to the program. He says, we're pre-selling the tickets for the bourbon raffle from right now until February 26th. $5 for each or $7 for $25. It's going to be one raffle, two winners, everything double up. Each winner gets 6 bottles, just so we know. There you go. For bourbon drinkers out there, that's a good deal. Take that. So I had made a post, and I don't kind of get opinionated very often, but I did. I said, look, Derek Carr out there shopping his wares. We're all sitting and waiting for Aaron Rodgers to come out of the darkness with some kind of an epiphany regarding the rest of his career. In the meantime, and I had asked Mike this, and Ben, I asked you, if you've got something, but all these people saying the Packers definitely, they want to move on. They've made the decision to move on. They are saying they want to move on. Who? Nobody's attributing this to anybody. It has become, it's like one person had the idea and everybody's ran with it. And listen, I was sitting out there in Arizona. We had, I was talking to Thomas Dimitroff. I talked to him about it. He said, if this is me, this is maybe what I want to do. But, the Packers have been really good about keeping their mouth shut, blah, blah, blah. So even a former general manager who is sitting there in front of me and we're talking about this is saying this is probably what you want to do if indeed Rodgers isn't all in. But if he's all in, it'd be hard to move on. And he understood the difficult position the Packers are in. In the meantime, all these people are saying the Packers have decided they want to move on. Have you heard anybody say, sources inside the Packers, my source says, anybody that preludes that statement with sources inside the Packers or a source around Aaron Rodgers or whatever? Have you heard anybody say that? Ben, have you heard anybody say that?
No, we have not.
I haven't either.
I think it's a rolling snowball that is only picking up more and more snow as it goes down the mountain of people reading into the reports and the language and the framing of the reports, where one report will come out, and I'm sure it's like the report of the Packers talking to somebody, which, as you have said, I'm sure happens. It's normal. And then people will take that and say, okay, it seems as they're open to it. And then the snowball starts rolling. And they say, oh, this person said that they're open to it, which could mean this. And then we get to where we are today.
I have not heard any of that stated. So when I say in my post that all the unsubstantiated BS is flying around, that's what I'm talking about. There are things that are legitimate. When Rodgers does his show, nobody in the media is asking Rodgers questions other than Pat McAfee, and Rodgers is the one doing the show. You don't want people to talk about it, you shut up. You kill it. It's like a flame. If it doesn't have oxygen, it goes out. If Rodgers goes away, no, he doesn't talk about it. He doesn't say a word. He doesn't get weird. He doesn't get cryptic. Nobody talks about it. But I'll say this for everybody that says they don't want to talk about it. When I was talking about the Bucs, we had a little over 900 people on the stream total. Okay. And reach of, I don't know, was like 6,000. When I sit here and talk about it now, we got a little over 14,300 on the stream. It's what you may despise it. You may hate it. You may say, I can't believe they're talking about it, but you're actually sitting here corresponding about it. It's what everybody is discussing. But on my defense, I sit here and said, we wake up every day and I look at myself as kind of a sifting machine. We sift through all the crap. We just kind of shake it out. And then there's a little bit of truth there in that screen that remains. I understand Rodgers doesn't have to make a decision. He really doesn't have to for a while. He would be putting the team in a bad position. I understand Derek Carr's on the open market. And if, say, the New York Jets go after Carr hard, that means whatever conversation they had with the Green Bay Packers really wasn't that productive in the sense of maybe getting Aaron Rodgers as their next quarterback. Or maybe he's leaning, the word is maybe he's leaning towards, say, the Raiders. Maybe that came out of that conversation. And the fact that the Jets did have a conversation, we don't even know what the conversation was. They were calling to inquire. Hey, Brian, you guys willing to trade Aaron Rodgers? Geez, guys, first of all, I think he gives us the best chance to win. But secondly, he hasn't really made his decision. So we really don't have much to talk about right now. Okay, talk to you later. That's a conversation. That's a conversation. So all I'm saying is I sit here every day and sift through the crap. Some is, some isn't. Some of it's my opinion. And I preface this by saying it's my opinion. I give you a lot of thoughts. But we don't sit here and say every day we got to talk Rodgers because we want to make stuff up. We're merely reacting to what's out there and what's being said. Because I read every day. You can hit a Google search of Aaron Rodgers and everything new comes up every day. And everything has been stated. Everything is being restated. It's being restated in a different way as if it's some kind of a fact, but nobody's attributing to anything. It's funny because Ross Tucker talks about it, and he then quotes Adam Schefter, who then quotes Ian Rappaport, who has quoted Adam Schefter, who has quoted Jeremy Fowler, who has quoted some of the people from the NFL Good Morning Football Show. But nobody's quoting a Packer. Nobody's quoting an organization. The only articles that are out there that are quoting organizations are other unnamed sources such as scouts that have said, we saw him fall off. Well, hell, I told you that. I told you he looked a step slow. I told you he wasn't as elusive. I told you he wasn't on the mark. Hell, I could see that. I'm not a scout, but I think we could all see it. Packers fans as a group, if we wrap our arms around one another, we're pretty freaking intelligent. For the most part, there is the fringe mentalness out there. Okay. There are some who wear the green and gold glasses and, oh my God, If you step in a turd near Lambeau Field that some dog left, it's got to be a green and gold turd. Therefore, you got to package it up, take it home, and take a whiff of it every day, put it in your freezer. Then there's others who are the green and gold fans, but they're the hater fans. They're the fans that I love my Green Bay Packers, but they're never going to win because of. Everything sucks. The world sucks. Every day you wake up, the clouds are black. Every day you wake up, it's not green and gold, but it's got steam coming off of Lambeau Field like it's a great big pile, but I'm a fan. So you have the both extremes. They're out there. But all we try to do is sift through all of it and say, this is what the reality is. The reality is he's going to emerge. I picked the 28th from the very beginning because I thought it was relevant in the sense of it's a week after the Super Bowl. And it's getting into March. Once you get in the middle of the March, you need to know what's going on if you're the Green Bay Packers, because you need to know a lead up if you're going to be able to trade them away come the beginning of the new year, or if you're not. So you got to start the bidding at some point. And if he wants to come back, then that in essence could tell you what direction you're going to go with Jordan Love, because you got to figure out whether you're going to keep him or not. You're going to sign him to that extension or you're not. Are you going to just bring him back? Are you going to trade him away? You got to start talking about that as well. It really does start the gears grinding for the Green Bay Packers once Aaron makes the decision. I don't think it changes the draft a lot, but it really does start the gears grinding as to what they're going to do and how they're either going to tear it down a little, how they're going to absorb some of the cap hit, how they're going to make some deals, how they're going to be able to kind of rebuild things and turn it around within a year, all of that stuff. But this whole thing, when I wake up today and you've got numerous people, Jeremy Fowler saying it today, and he's not even quoting anybody. The Packers have made the decision to move on. Okay, which is the headline. So, but he doesn't quote anybody. He's not saying sources inside of this is just like an opinion, and it's basically verbatim from what others have said, but nobody's quoting anybody. If I got a source that tells me, hey, this is what it is, I'll tell you. I got a source, I got 2 or 3 people, I've got things that I've witnessed that this is what it is. Usually you attribute your knowledge or hypothesis to something. Nobody is. Nobody is. And Mike Clemens was 100% right. Aaron, this past McAfee show, when you listen to it, Aaron's a weird dude, man. And yeah, he looks a little younger, but he also looked like he either just got off the 5-mass skull bong or somebody woke him up. So who knows? Maybe the ayahuasca kicked in. Maybe he's, taking some relaxation herbs. I don't know. People were hitting me up about that. Does he look high? Hell, I don't know. He looks a little disheveled. I get that. But maybe he's just getting a lot of sleep. Maybe he's preparing for what he's about to go into. Who knows? Who cares at this point? Unless he tests positive for something, who cares? But all I'm saying is Aaron's going to go in. He's going to do his thing, and he's going to come out. My guess is next week we're all going to find out what the hell's going on. That's it. And for the people that say, I got Mike, he said he can decide whatever he wants. I still think the team is going with Love either way. There's a large part of me that would say, okay, I understand that. But much like Mark Schofield said, look, if you're Rodgers and you want to win a Super Bowl, where do you go? A lot of people seem to feel like the Jets would be more prepared, but that's even a split decision. There's a lot of people that feel like Aaron Rodgers goes in to the Las Vegas Raiders and they're a Super Bowl contender, when they're not even the best team in their division, but suddenly they're same. That's how in the end you get a couple far away. I think it's a different mindset. I think it's a different attitude. I think it's different coaching. I don't like the fact that they ran it back with Joe Barry, but I think if everybody's going to be in, everybody's got to be in. The only way this works is everybody in. Otherwise, no, trade him away. If he's not all in, and if he's not ready to go, I've said it from day one, then trade him away. But this whole thing about, well, they're ready to move on, nobody knows because nobody's quoting anybody. But every time Aaron speaks, it becomes the dissection thereof. And I understand it. Let's do this. We're going to step away. We're going to take a quick break. We're going to come back, and we'll start taking your phone calls. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. Hit us up if you choose to do so. I just talked to my buddy Carlos and Jose over at New Mail, and I'm going to go in and talk to Dr. Tim later today. And I'm anxious to find out. I'm down 4 more pounds. Okay. So last week I lost a few, and over the last couple of days I've lost a few. So I'm like down a total of like 8.5, 9 pounds almost. And I'm moving forward. I really, really want to get back to where I was about a year ago before I had the back issues. So my goal, I know it's kind of outrageous. My goal is to lose 30. That's my goal. So where I'm really healthy. But if I can lose more, I'd really like to. I'd really like to get, because right now I'm sitting at a 38 waist. I'd like to get back down to a 36. I could never go to 34. I just couldn't. I'd be wafy looking. But get back down comfortably into it. I could wear a 36 now, but I want to get comfortable into it to where I don't feel like if I exhale, I'm going to blow buttons out and take people's faces off. But I'm going to go over today and learn a lot more about this stuff from New Mail. 414-455-4451. They've got it going on, and they swear by this. They say, Bill, it's a new and improved product. Come on in. It's all online. They'll set you up with the your own account, and you get to track it. It's fantastic. So I'll know more about it tomorrow, but I can't wait. Our friends at New Mail Medical Center, 414-455-4451. That's 414-455-4451. If you got ED, low T, they can help you out with that. Absolutely. But if you want to become a new you, look better, feel better, get rid of that inner tube tire around your gut, 414-455-4451.
This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 5 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 4 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Welcome back to the program. Glad to have you. The Bill Michaels Show. We continue on this Wednesday, weird Wednesday. No huddle tonight. No huddle tonight. I get at least a little sympathy. This is from John, who says, here's my 2 cents worth. Bill, great shows. The Packers' best chance to win a Super Bowl in the next couple of years is with Aaron Rodgers at the helm. However, building a roster that complements the 40-year-old skill set is going to be difficult, especially given the financial commitment to the quarterback. If Rodgers does come back and play for the Packers, the team must deal love for a veteran defensive lineman. Being a lifelong Packers fan, it's really hard to understand how 2 Hall of Fame quarterbacks have only produced two Super Bowl wins. That is a management failure, period. John, that is exactly why they would run it back. That you're 100% correct. And that's something that logically, and I've said this for a while, logically it makes sense to deal Rodgers 100%. There is that thought by not only Packers fans, but everybody outside of the organization. How in the world do you fall short so often with 2 Hall of Fame in a quarterback-driven league when you see the great of the greats get to win Super Bowls? Joe Burrow's doing it. Now, granted, they're under rookie deals and they're going to get paid, and when they get paid, we'll see. But we've seen Patrick Mahomes do it twice. Patrick Mahomes now 17.5% of the team's total salary cap. First time in NFL history that it's ever happened. He did it. His commitment to winning did it. He did it. You know, we saw Matthew Stafford. They went all in last year. The Rams did. They did it. He's making a ton of money. They did it. You know, Lamar Jackson's been there. Joe Burrow's been there. Jalen Hurts has been there. Tom Brady went. All these great quarterbacks are going. And yet, Packers can't get there. That's embarrassing. It's embarrassing for Rodgers. It's embarrassing for the organization. Because you know you're always short. You know you just don't have the balls to go out and get that one extra guy to put you over the hump. When everybody was screaming for OBJ, you wouldn't do it. I can't do it. Can't fit him in. Can't do this. Can't do that. Maybe you didn't want to come here. But how hard did you try? You can't land the guy necessary to put you over the top. And that's part of the reason why I think that if they do run it back, that's part of the driving force is to say, we can't end it like this. Because how long is it going to be before you get the Hall of Famer back under center? You know? That's it. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. Hit us up. Our buddy Daniel and Toma on the line. Daniel, how you doing today, man? What's up?
How you doing? I think we need to keep Rodgers. I understand it's expensive, but if he really wants to go all in, maybe he would put some of his contract into a bonus.
Mhm.
Would you think he would do that?
I think there'd be some restructure there in
Only-
some way, shape, or form. Yeah.
And there's only three. We need three players to put us over the hump. And like you said, the key thing, when Reggie White came here, they also brought a tight end. Everybody keeps on forgetting about that. That was the extra piece. Without the tight end, we never went to the Super Bowl in '96. And that's that Jackson character. They only played one season. He retired after he got the Super Bowl ring.
Right.
And that's all we need over here. We need a tight end. We're short a tight end, another tight end.
Yep.
A good tight end. I'm not saying ours ain't good, but it's someone that's got a little bit extra on it. And they tried it with the Graham or whatever his name is.
Yeah.
You know, but his age is up there, and they need like you said, a pass rusher, and they need a linebacker. I think those three items, and the rest of the pieces are here. And a receiver, of course, we need a receiver, someone that can, like you said, would change the double coverage, the single that made Watson grow. He's going to grow.
Right.
You know, we've always had James Lofton, we've had Sharp, and we've always, you know, and then great receivers. That's what we need. We need a receiver to make the other receiver.
Probably a draft another receiver. I think if you're going to get it right around 15, that Michael Mayer, the tight end out of Notre Dame, would be a solid pickup. I think you need one more veteran wide receiver, and then you just continue to try to add depth in the draft. That's just my opinion.
Right. And that's my opinion too. We are only a couple places away, and we're back in the playoffs. What happens after that? That's really management. Like you said, it is not Rodgers' fault. It's management. It's the way they got to want to do it. We have the fan base. Now you got to give us the players.
Yeah.
You know, people ain't going to just lay down. And the players got to believe in themselves. A lot of it, if you ever play sports, it's got to do with confidence.
Well, I that's why I think, and Daniel, appreciate the phone call. That's why I think that, you know, if Rodgers comes back to Green Bay and Green Bay brings him back, that's got to be like, hey, we're all in. You can't be off doing anything else. You got to be here. You got to work with these guys. You got to talk with these guys. You got to meet with these guys. You got to get in with the head coach. You got to sit down and start working on this season and put everything you can into the season. You know, for $60 million, come on. Come on. I know you've earned that money prior, and especially in that rookie contract and such, and Ted made sure you were taken care of. But you've always been, whenever a deal has been done, you've always been made the highest paid player in the NFL. You got to give us this back in the return. I don't care. At this point in time, you got to come down off the pedestal, and you got to be all in. More of the Bill Michaels Show coming up next.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
One of the worst things that you can hear, you have cancer. The worst is when you hear the words, your child has cancer. When a child is diagnosed with cancer, it changes their world. Sometimes they can't even do things that they really love, like playing soccer, riding a bike, going to prom, attending school. Children with cancer spend a lot of time away from others. Time in the hospital, treatments, tired, nauseous, and they feel isolated. That's where Special Spaces Wisconsin steps in. They provide these children with a special space where they can not only sleep, but they can play, they can heal, they can spend time away from the challenges of their illness. It's a customized bedroom designed just for them. How about a princess castle or pirate ship or a sports themed bedroom? They transform that child's existing bedroom into a place that only he or she can imagine. A place for them just to be a kid. This effort is done with teams of dedicated volunteers and sponsors, just like our friends from Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin and all the community to donate. Specialspace.org. Spaces.org.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Welcome back. Bill Michaels Show, continuing on. Looking forward to the weekend. Got a lot of stuff happening this weekend. Going to Winterfest in Cedarburg. Going to a Special Spaces gala on Friday night. But Friday night afterwards, heading down to meet a couple of friends over at the Nice Ash, downtown Waukesha. 323 West Main Street. They have some music coming in this week. They do every weekend. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, they have music. And they've got a lot of good stuff going on down there. But good scotches, good bourbons, good whiskeys. They have terrific cigars, a huge walk-in humidor, good hookahs. But it's just a fun time. Just a good time to go down and see people and hang out, whether you want to sit at the bar, sit at a table, or relax in the big, comfortable leather chairs. They have great stuff down there. 323 West Main Street in Waukesha. That's theniceash.com, theniceash.com. Pack Attack says, even if Rodgers came in and said, I'd play for 25 instead of 50, can he actually rewrite the contract or give back a bonus, more room to sign other guys? He can do whatever he wants, I guess. But I don't know how that works. I don't know what the players union would do. I don't know if they would even ratify that. So I don't know. My assumption is you can do anything. You can say, no, I want to take less money and I want to give my team the opportunity, but I don't think they can. The only thing I think he can do, and I think he had mentioned this on McAfee, is where he could just say, okay, I'll make certain, years voidable. So if you decide to rewrite the deal and then make years voidable, in other words, yes, giving back the money for those particular years, then they can do that. But I don't think they can just say, okay, we're giving money back. I think they'd have to restructure that deal. So I'm not a capologist in any sense, but I don't think, from what I understand, you can just rewrite it and say, nope, I'm going to cut off 2 years. I'm going to give a bunch of money back. I don't think you can do that. Our buddy Steve says, hey, first of all, I've been dying to get back to the Calderon Club for the Penny Consulshina, but haven't gotten around to it yet. I tried to imitate it at home last night, although it was good. Nowhere near as good as Calderon Club. And I'm telling you, that Penny Salsina, oh my God. For anyone going there, I recommend it's got just the right amount of spice and absolutely delicious. He said, I can't agree with you more about the reports on Aaron Rodgers. I know that I'm old school, but I always thought in journalism classes, you have to report the facts. These are so-called reporters that are not reporters. They are sensationalists, editorialists These reports are all speculation, and these clowns are trying to one-up one another. I know this Rodgers saga is draining on Packer Nation, but as you mentioned, the situation will prove itself out in the next week or so. Get rid of the sensationalist articles and reports on the news, and just report on the news, not rumors. So get off my lawn. That's our buddy Stephen Ridgefield, which is the term I used earlier. And he's right. That's kind of what I did. It was the get off my lawn report, because some of this just isn't substantiated. It's kind of like, here's what they're saying, but you keep waiting for the next line, which is a source in the organization or, somebody close to Rodgers or what, and there's none of that. And Rodgers was emphatic yesterday saying this is lies about me going into the chamber and stuff earlier and people reporting it as fact. And I know this and I know that and things that are being said about the organization. He's like, it's lies. Nobody in my camp is saying a thing. And I can only, which, maybe that's, in part because Adam Schefter has this level of believability because his representation agency-wise is the same as Aaron Rodgers. But Rodgers is saying nobody in my camp is saying a freaking word. And if they are, they're not with my camp anymore, my quote, inner circle. So I get it. He's trying to stem the tide, so to speak, of inaccurate reporting. So we sit and wait. Scott says we sit and wait because the Packers allow this. True, but what are you going to do? I mean, Tampa Bay allowed it. Now Brady didn't take as much time. Hell, Brady retired and then came back. Tampa Bay allowed it, right? When you've got a talented quarterback in the National Football League, they're treated differently. They just are. That's a fact. Why do you think that, teams bend over backwards to sign a good quarterback right here, right now? And here's the other thing that you kind of tend to forget when you say, just trade him. Well, you can't until he tells you he's coming back. You can't, because he could then retire and you're left holding the bag. So you got to let it play out because Rodgers in this contract has a lot of power. 2 hours down, 2 hours yet to go. Good stuff today. Real good stuff today so far. Keep it coming. Hey, don't forget, if you're heading downtown to catch the Marquette game, Bucks game, Admirals game, UWM game, you're heading out to catch something at the Kohl Center, up to Green Bay to catch your Packers game, or the upcoming Brewers season, check out our friends at Stenny's. Second and National in Walker's Point, the best sports bar, hands down. Now they got a new one coming out here near me into the Lake Country area, Pewaukee on Watertown Road. I can't wait. Can't wait. Stop in, tell them we said hi. Award-winning Bloody Marys, terrific wings. The wings are fantastic. That's our friends at Stenny's. You should be here. More of the Bill Michaels Show next.
This is a Wisconsin Sports Zone update.
Well, Wisconsin got a much-needed win over Michigan last night, beating the Wolverines 64-59, but they did not make it easy on themselves. Badgers did not make a shot in the final 10 minutes and 45 seconds, a string of 15 straight misses to end the game. But Coach Greg Gard said they were able to overcome it.
I told the team we're going to have first thing Thursday because we have tomorrow off is we're going to start with layup practice. But they responded on the other end and shot the line well. We had some good looks. So, hey, you gotta keep shooting them. If you like them, let them fly. If it's in your wheelhouse and something you do well. But the most important thing is how we responded on the other end, and that was the key.
Wisconsin got a career-high 23 points from Connor Essegian. That included going 5 for 6 from the free throw line in the final 44 seconds to seal the deal. Badgers improved to 7-8 in Big Ten play, 15-10 overall. Going to welcome in Rutgers on Saturday for another massive game. Turning the Bucks took overtime, but they got by the shorthanded Celtics 131-125 last night for their 11th straight win. Drew Holiday tied a career high with 40 points, including what proved to be the game-winning three-pointer in the final minute. Giannis Antetokounmpo, 36 points, 13 rebounds. Milwaukee moved to within a half game of Boston for the top spot in the East. They'll be at Chicago tomorrow.
Rural Mutual Insurance. keeping Wisconsin strong.
When a company only does business in Wisconsin, that's Wisconsin Strong. Rural Mutual provides all lines of insurance, including commercial, farm, home, and auto. And your premiums stay right here to keep Wisconsin strong. Local agents, local underwriters, local claims adjusters.
Rural Mutual Insurance, keeping Wisconsin strong.
Well, Aaron Rodgers going to enter his 4-day darkness isolation retreat later this week. The hope is he'll have a clearer picture on whether he wants to play football after that. The quarterback expected to deliver his decision to the Packers prior to the start of free agency next month. With this Wisconsin Sports Zone Network update, I'm Zach Heil.
Badgers get a win last night. Bucks get a win last night. Marquette going for the top spot in the Big East. Hoping they can knock off Xavier. Rodgers getting ready to go into the darkness. How will he emerge? All that kind of good stuff. I'll tell you one thing. You're looking for something to do this weekend. Out at the Wisconsin Expo Center, Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin. They're at the Nary Home Improvement Show this weekend. And it's Friday through Sunday out at the Wisconsin State Fair Park. And all appointments that are scheduled between Friday and Sunday, you go into a drawing for $1,500 off replacement windows or any door project. Okay? How about that? So all you got to do is show up. People that are looking for windows and doors and different projects within their home, they're probably going to this anyway. But if you're heading out to Nary and you're thinking about windows and doors, and you know right now the wind is howling, right? Can you hear it? Well, no, you can't hear it here because I got Pella Windows and Doors in my home. But I left you alone for a second. You probably hear it in your home or business, and you're thinking to yourself, holy crap, I can hear that. The wind is a-howling. It's probably blowing in some of the creeks and crevices and bringing you some cold air inside your home. Make it more economical. For God's sakes, now the time to do it. Not only can you get 0% interest for 48 months, but if you do it right now, you go into the drawing for $1,500 off replacement windows or a door project. You get drawn into that. So stop in, tell them you heard it here, and go in and just talk to them a little bit about what it is your project may entail, and put your name in for the drawing, and you could get that $1,500 off of your window or door project. And they're going to pick the winner from the scheduled appointments coming up this coming Tuesday. And they're going to call the winner. They're going to announce it, the winner on Facebook as well. But this is a big deal, man. You talk about the best time to buy. Now's the time to buy. Go to the Nary Home Improvement Show this weekend at the Wisconsin State Fair Park. Go over and see the friends from Pella. Schedule that appointment. Say, hey, I need some windows. Just schedule it. It's free, by the way, to schedule it. It's absolutely free to come into your house. Just schedule it, and you're good to go. Fantastic stuff. Fantastic stuff. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. If you want to hit us up, please feel free. Go ahead and do so. Phone lines now, my friends, wide open. Wide open. So if you want to get a hold of us, all you got to do is give us a shout. You can hit us up over on Twitter as well, as many of you have, at Bill_Michaels, at Bill_Michaels, or at Ben Z. Kenny. You can email the program, thebillmichaels@gmail.com. Find everything over at the website, thebillmichaels.com. Let's get to it. Let's go to Jeff listening to us in California. Jeff, how you doing, man? What's going on?
Hey, I'm doing good, Bill. The first is I appreciate the way you tell it like it is.
Thank you.
As far as Rodgers going into the darkness, go on in, do your thing, then turn the light back on, come out, and realize that you have a legacy to protect, and you need to come back to Green Bay. I mean, it would be foolish for him to pack up and leave town. I think the Packers front office needs to go out and get DeAndre Hopkins, get him a big receiver, make him feel better about that, get him a tight end. But he cannot leave Green Bay. It just makes no sense.
The only reason it would make sense is the financial aspect of it. Other than that, I would agree with you. Unless you really believe that Jordan Love is the next Aaron Rodgers, then you got to say, okay, we got to make the move. But I don't think they do.
No, I don't think so either. I think they have to realize what they've got. Rodgers has to protect that legacy. What's he got, 1 or 2 more years? Why finish up somewhere else? You're a Packer. You stay in Green Bay.
Yeah, I think that's the way. There's a certain amount. I appreciate the phone call. Thanks for listening to us, Jeff, out in California. There is a certain level of, how do I put this? There was a certain level of Packer fan, I think, that wants to see it end that way. I would agree with that. They want to see him kind of end his career on a high note in Green Bay. There would be, there'd be nothing better, really. I mean, when you think about it. It'd be incredible if he could then indeed say, "Hey, I'm walking away from the Packers as a lifetime Packer. I'm walking away with the Packers with 2 championships. I'm walking away with the Packers with 4 MVPs." And that would kind of, to say that you had 2 Hall of Fame quarterbacks and only 2 Super Bowls to win in that span, I think doesn't set well, like our emailer had a little while ago. But if you say we had 2 Hall of Fame quarterbacks, we attended 4 Super Bowls, won 3 of them. Both guys won between them, 7, 8 MVPs. It changes. It sounds different. And Mark Murphy walks away and says, "Look what we did. We grew revenue. We expanded upon the wonderful idea of Bob Harlan and the vision of Bob Harlan. We walked away with Super Bowls. The team is in good hands. Jordan Love is ready to go. The money's coming off the books. And instead of a complete teardown and rebuild, we're going to, let one legacy go, begin another one, start to build the team around that particular player who we now have locked up for 3-4 years at a much more minimal price when it comes to, quarterback finances, the ability to go out and get more people. It flows. It flows. Paul says, how in the hell is this team even being considered for a Super Bowl? Well, I can make a lot of arguments, Paul. I think it starts up front with the offensive line. Last year, it was in flux when when Elton Jenkins came back, his knee, he didn't look nearly as quick, and it took him a while to get, kind of solidified. The offensive line with David Bakhtiari, first he was not there. Then he was on a pitch count. They weren't sure if he was or wasn't going to start. Josh Nijman was moving all over the place, and that hurt him. There was inconsistency there, inconsistency at the center position for a while. But once the offensive line, about midway to 3/4 of the way through the season, or 2/3 of the way through the season, got solidified, the offense began to flow a little bit better. Christian Watson started out with the hamstring injury. Didn't see a lot of training camp, came back, was out again after that, concussed, missed a couple of weeks, out again with another injury. It never really got going, and when he got back, it started to flow. Romeo Doubs played pretty well, and then he ended up getting nicked up. Randall Cobb got nicked up. The weaponry of the offense. I mean, Robert Tonyan coming back from the ACL injury didn't look like Robert Tonyan. Now it's the year after, so he could be better. Most likely will be better because it's usually the year after you come back from the ACL that you tend to play better and have that momentum or that motion back. So you got 2 really good running backs. If you can add a veteran wide receiver and draft another wide receiver or 2 that could help you, and you got to hit on these guys. But it certainly goes from being a questionable to then a solidified set of weapons on the outside if you pick up a good tight end in the draft. And I go back to the kid Michael Mayer, for the tight end out of Notre Dame. You pick him up in the draft, boy, then you've got yourself a pretty decent 1-2 punch in hands coming out of the tight end position. So offensively with Rodgers, you're kind of solidified. You maybe need an offensive lineman, maybe a right tackle full time, but for the most part, you're kind of solidified. Then defense, and that's all buildable through that's using up 2-3 draft choices. Now that's all buildable. Now the rest of it, Adrian Amos, you probably have to replace if you don't bring him back as the safety. But Jair, while he had a better year, he didn't have a great year. Stokes should be coming back from the injury. Hopefully he picks up where he left off from his rookie season. They figured out what to do with Darnell Savage. And he looked much better in the latter portion of the year. Russell Douglas, Rudy Ford all filled in admirably. You're going to get Rashawn Gary back, albeit you still probably need another pass rusher to offset him, because who knows how long it's going to take him to really get back to himself coming back off of the ACL. Devondre Campbell had a little bit of a down year. You expect him to come back. Preston Smith, statistically a little bit of a down year, but was asked to do different things because you didn't have Rashawn Gary. So you got all these guys are back, and you can go back to utilizing them for what they are. And you're going to get Devontae Wyatt and Quay Walker back with a year in, finally an off season, and they can start absorbing things. So it's a matter to me of replacing Dean Lowry, picking up some depth, and adding another key piece or two offensively. And if the quarterback is all in, the thumb doesn't break, his legs are under him, he has a tremendous workout off season, why not? Why not? Tell me out there, you've got the Eagles, maybe the Cowboys, but you don't have a Micah Parsons, but you still got a better, I think, offense, because Dak Prescott, we saw what he is. He's not going to get you there. He just doesn't do it. He folds in the biggest moments. So Rodgers needs to overcome that. I think Rodgers gives you a legitimate shot. But it also comes down to coaching, and the coaching has to be better. This can't be the ass kiss off season of Aaron Rodgers. Once he comes back, he's got to be all in. So Thomas says we still have the same coaching staff. Well, if that's your hang up, Thomas, then just once they fire everybody, then come back as a fan. Because you complain about that all the time. I get it. But at some point you got to say, guys in the field need to make plays too. I don't like the rehiring of Joe Barry. I never did. I thought Matt LaFleur lost his cojones this year. They've eroded over the last couple of years. If those two guys don't wrap their arms around this, then I agree with you. All is lost. It'll be a waste of a season. They'll get some wins. They'll fold in the biggest moment. We'll see a defense play soft, give up third down, death by 1,000 cuts, wash, rinse, repeat. I completely understand. But you're not getting rid of the coaching staff. So when you ask me a question about how do I think they're going to get back to a Super Bowl, that's how I think they're going to get back. That's it. 877-867-1670. Phone line's wide open. Let's go to Louie listening to us in Eau Claire. Louie, how you doing today, man? What's going on?
I'm doing good, Unit. Thanks for the call. I'm kind of with you on the coaching thing. I think LaFleur's got good schemes, but I think as we saw in the Super Bowl there with Sirianni and Reed, and even the championship games with Taylor and Shanahan, fortune favors the bold, and LaFleur just seems so timid. I know the other day you kind of alluded to the fact that Mike Sherman kind of lost the team when they didn't go for it on 4th and short in Philadelphia. Do you think something kind of similar may have happened in the NFC Championship game a couple of years ago against Tampa when they're kicking field goals when they need 2 scores down, when it's 4th and goal at the 5-yard line or whatever? He seems like he plays scared of his own shadow and just wants to keep everybody happy. Like I said, I'm not one of these guys that calls for coaches' jobs, every time we lose a game. But it just seems like, man, you got to grow a pair here.
I don't call for coaches' jobs unless you lose the game because the coaching staff didn't put guys in the best place to be successful. One game is one thing, but when you do it over and over again, that's the reason I started to become frustrated like many fans, because we saw it defensively speaking early on this season. And it really wasn't until later in the season, maybe the last third of the season, that it seemed like the defense began to play a little bit different. But I agree with you. You can't blame the coaches all the time. You can certainly look at calls, and you can certainly look at, timeouts and replays and things used and stuff. But to me, it's all about the attitude, about way they got kind of wrap their arms around the guys. And Matt LaFleur, in my opinion, needs to go back to being the Matt LaFleur we saw in year one, where he wasn't taking crap from anybody. He was a player's coach, but he wasn't taking crap. Now it seems like he's been publicly snipped almost. And so he needs to get himself back. At least that's the perception. Again, behind closed doors, we don't 100% know. But the perception is that he's milquetoast, man. When you look at these other coaches, the way their mentality is, they're not making excuses for their players consistently. They're not using names. They're saying, yeah, this guy had a bad game. This guy had this. We're going to work on this. We got to work on that. You know, they're not tiptoeing around the precious ego and basically losing their own ability to coach and ability to discipline and ability to call a guy out because they're so afraid. Don't be afraid anymore. You got nothing to lose. If you're going to go out swinging, man. Go out with what it is you do best. Period. 877-867-1670. Hit us up. Again, 877-867-1670. More of the Bill Michaels Show next.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Everywhere you look, from groceries to utilities to gas, prices keep going up. Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin can dramatically help lower your energy costs year-round by replacing drafty windows and doors in as little as 6 weeks. And now you can save even more by taking advantage of 0% interest for up to 48 months when you lock in your prices by February 28th. I'm Gina Della from Pella. Bring the love of Wisconsin's outdoors in through the beauty and quality craftsmanship of Pella Windows and Doors. Whether you're updating or upgrading the look and comfort of your home, Pella has extensive lines of customizable options to meet your needs and your budget, no matter the season. Replacing drafty windows and doors can dramatically lower your energy costs. Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin offers some of the most energy efficient windows in the industry, designed to keep the cold outside where it belongs. Lock in your prices by February 28th and get 0% interest for up to 48 months. Visit PellaWI.com.
Restrictions apply.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Head
Welcome back. Hey, our friends at Kemp's right here in our own backyard, Cedarburg, Wisconsin. Kemp's is looking for people right now. And there's a lot of people that are looking for jobs, better paying jobs, $23 an hour, plus. They have sign-on bonuses that are being offered for certain positions right now, so you may qualify. You want to check it out. By the way, they need some CDL drivers, Class A, production people, cooler employees, and maintenance technicians like ASAP. So if you're thinking about a career, if you're thinking about benefits, if you're thinking about a terrific company right here based in the state of Wisconsin, that's our friends at Kemp's Food since 1914. Check out our friends at Kemp's. You can work. They work hard, by the way, as well to support local communities and local funds and such as the food banks and alleviating hunger, offering hope, and delivering good. Goes around comes around. They believe in that. So check out our friends at Kemp's in Cedarburg, Wisconsin. Go to Kemp's, Kemps, Kemps.com, and click on the careers link at the bottom of the page. Kemps.com, Kemps, Kemps.com. That's Kemps.com. Click on the careers link at the bottom of the page and fill it all out. And they're hiring, they're interviewing, they need people like yesterday. So get a hold of our friends at Kemp's, Kemps. Not only are they hiring, but they're a good Wisconsin company, man. Good Wisconsin company. Doesn't matter your age, too, by the way. I was told just whatever old you are, they're looking for good people. Good people come in all ages, shapes, sizes, all that kind of good stuff. Kemps.com. Click on careers at the bottom of the page. 877-867-1670. You can find us 877-867-1670. Aaron Broost over on Twitter says if he informs the team significantly earlier than any time Brett Favre was doing his nonsense, it would be great. This is Ray says, please go to the Jets. We need some love in Green Bay to heal the cap. Scott says we sit and wait because the Packers are allowing all of this to go on, which we talked about a little bit earlier because, it's because he has the power. He has that power. He just does. This one says, hey, Bill, didn't listen to the beginning portion of the show. What did you think of the Badgers win last night? Oh, to get a win is a good win. To get a win and hitting your free throws is another good way to do it. But, when you, they just weren't going to let another second half lead just slip away. They gave back nearly a 12-point lead going stone cold from the floor. And they ended up getting a 64-59 win over Michigan, which was nice. It was a little bit of a revenge factor from last year. Stephen Crow added 11 points and 11 boards, just kind of doing the yeoman's work. So, it was a hard-fought night, but to go cold from the floor for 10 minutes, that'll cost you in the tournament if you make it there, But you talk about it like being a bubble match game. They won that game, So they won that game. As much as Wisconsin struggled offensively down the stretch, the Badgers made it tough on Michigan and held the Wolverines to just 2 of their final 11 shots. So if you can't hit shots, you play terrific defense, and that's what they did. Going 1 for 9 in the final 5:21 of the first half and missing 15 straight shots to end the game. You're not going to continue to win basketball that way, but you got to win. And, Chucky Hepburn, he finished 1 for 9 from the field, but that big steal, who was it? Was a kid. There was about, 20 seconds or something like that left. Oh, the kid, Doug, I can't think of the guy's last name. But that was pretty much, even though, again, when you're not hitting your shots, you got to play tough defense. Chucky Hepburn did. So kudos to them. So sometimes you just need that win and maybe things begin to fall. But it's like, Ben and I talked about earlier this year, when it comes down to the stretch and you need a big bucket and you're in a tight ball game, who are you going to go to? It's just throw a dart at a dartboard and hope that they hit it because they just don't have consistent shooting. They just don't. And that's the bugaboo that has been around for a little while now. They just don't have consistent shooting, but you take the win. You don't apologize for it. You take it. You take it and you try to move on. You try to put a couple couple of things together that, you can get 2-3 wins. You start to stack success. Guys start to feel confident, and who knows what can happen. We've seen weirder things happen, so why not? But it's after getting off to that fast start that raised expectations, they have certainly crashed back down to earth, but now they're kind of trading wins in the month of February. You take it. Is that pretty much as the Badger-esque person you are, Ben, is that pretty much a decent synopsis of how you look at things?
Yeah. I mean, we all know how the season's going to end. At least I think we all share a thought on how it will. Not unlike when the Packers go into the playoffs with the special team stuff. You just had a feeling it would end like that. I have a feeling this team will lose a game in whatever tournament they're in because they can't hit a late shot or they can't close a game. But a win like that makes what's been a tough season, the taste is a little sweeter, given the revenge, given the rivalry part, given the fact you had a kid like Kamari McGee come up and play really well.
Right.
That's something you're able to build off because it's been snowballing. Like, it's been a horrible couple months. I think 1 month overall of play. Getting a win like that, even if it doesn't lead to a great end of this season, it's big for next year.
Yeah, Kamari McGee, correct me if I'm wrong, he hasn't seen much playing time at all. And, I mean, and all of a sudden he comes in, plays a season high 14 minutes, 6 points, a board, an assist, a couple of key moments in the game. I mean, to be able to come in and just sustain, I mean, not play spectacular, but just to sustain at that point. Yeah, you take it, maybe there's a little growth there. Who knows? I agree with you. Yeah, go ahead.
And they had a great handshake at the end, but it was like all the Michigan players came in. Hunter Dickinson was wearing a ski mask. Like, they're clowns.
Yeah.
And I'm glad they are the most unlikable basketball team I've ever witnessed in my short life on this earth.
Trying to think, I mean, even more so than your disdain for Coach K and all those Duke teams.
I mean, I hated some of the players. I disliked the coach, but you dislike them mainly because they win.
Right.
This Michigan team isn't good. They just the way they carry themselves
just Jags.
is what's frustrating.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like obviously the Grayson Allen Coach K thing is what it is, but that's more so because of the success they had. And Grayson Allen with the extracurriculars. Which, by the way, did you see our guy Coach K was back at Cameron the other day?
No, I did not.
He said he would never come back to take the spotlight off of the team on the court. And there he was, sitting courtside.
Well, he can't go watch a game. Well, then again, he's sitting courtside. Maybe you put him upstairs somewhere. But if you're sitting courtside, that's a whole other thing.
And John Shire, while it's been a tough year for Duke, they have beaten North Carolina more recently than Coach K has. So there's that.
Then there's that. Gotcha.
I'm just trying to look for happiness, man.
I know. Anything
Mike Clemens slapped me in the face today.
Oh, he did.
I can't believe he did that.
He beanbag whapped you. There's no doubt. But
I couldn't tell where he was going. I couldn't tell if he was trying to rip the Eagles fans that were at the game. I can't tell if he was trying to rip the team or the city. And then he's like, oh, and the tickets are too expensive. I was like, yeah, but you didn't need to say how sad everybody was while you're doing it.
Yeah.
Like, come on. Where it's like they weren't that sad.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know.
Mike just rolls on. He just comes in, does his thing, and leaves.
It's ridiculous. If we had another 7 minutes, you would have gone into a story about like some depressed Eagles fan banging their face into the wall on his way out.
He might have seen that. I would have. Hell, if I would have seen that, I would have reported that. I would have said I saw some crazed Eagles fan just get slide. By the way, golf. God, what is it? It's golf. Golf dot. Oh, if anybody knows, help me out. It is a recap of all the drunken stupidity in the Waste Management Open. Golf.
Oh, you saw the streaker?
Well, it's not just the streaker. It's like there was a hill this guy sat in front of, and he just kept counting the people that were like drunk and would lose their footing and fall down the hill. And then he's got like crowded sound effects behind it. Oh my God, it's hilarious. It's like golf. Crap, I can't think of what it is. Golf dot something or other. It's on TikTok. It is it's a bunch of drunk morons. Like I said, at the Waste Management Open that are just hammered. Maybe I can find it during the break because it just keeps
All
popping
the people
up.
got the lean to them.
Oh,
you could tell that
they're-
their feet
oh,
are on a different plane than their upper body.
Yeah, they're leaning. They're in the hill slides. There's like a spot where everybody steps and they all slide and fall. And then there's the guys that are like leaning and walking over and they can't walk and they're falling into stuff. And oh my God, that it's hilarious. Mark says, by the way, did I hear you're going to the next Boston Celtics game on the 30th? Yes, I am. I will see you on the 30th if you're going. He said, drinks down at Calderon Club before the game on me. Love the program. Mark, I might even take you up on that. Maybe I'll buy you one back. We'll sit at the end of the bar and say hi to Gino and Alex and everybody else and then walk over to the game. Lock arms. That'll be late March. Hopefully, at least the weather's decent, because we'll be right into the thick of things with baseball at that point. Baseball will be getting underway. So it'll be a banner time around the state of Wisconsin for Bucks basketball heading to the postseason and Brewers baseball getting underway. You're creeping into the draft. The combine's just about done. I mean, I'm taking it. Good stuff. Let's do this. We're going to step away. We're going to take a quick break and come back. We got a lot more to get to. This portion of the program brought to you by our friends over there, Cunis RV. And I've been telling you, I can't wait. I cannot wait for the RV season to get underway. I just can't. Our travels around the state, our travels to the affiliates, our travels to different events. I can't wait. I'm so looking forward to it. And traveling around in one of the RVs from Cunis RV, the next edition of this year's Big Unit Cruiser. Looking forward to it, whether it's heading out to Sturgis, to some of our events for the Fisher House, Wisconsin, the motorcycle ride, all of it. I can't wait. And it's all thanks to our friends at Cunis RV, Wisconsin's fastest growing RV dealer. Go to CunisRV.com, KUNES, CunisRV.com to find the location nearest you. If you haven't seen it, go to Cunis RV Elkhorn on Facebook. For Valentine's Day, the entire staff got together and started line dancing. It's pretty cool. Pretty cool to watch and listen to. They wanted to share the love, so they started line dancing in the showroom yesterday. I don't know if it was choreographed or not, but it certainly looked cool. So go to CunisRV.com. That's CunisRV.com.
This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
One of the worst things that you can hear, you have cancer. The worst is when you hear the words, your child has cancer. When a child is diagnosed with cancer, it changes their world. Sometimes they can't even do things that they really love, like playing soccer, riding a bike, going to prom, attending school. Children with cancer spend a lot of time away from others. I'm in the hospital, treatments, tired, nauseous, and they feel isolated. That's where Special Spaces Wisconsin steps in. They provide these children with a special space where they can not only sleep, but they can play, they can heal, they can spend time away from the challenges of their illness. It's a customized bedroom designed just for them. How about a princess castle or a pirate ship or a sports-themed bedroom? They transform that child's existing bedroom into a place that only he or she can imagine, a place for them just to be a kid. This effort is done with teams of dedicated volunteers and sponsors, just like our friends from Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin and all the community partners. If you'd like to find out more or to donate, go to specialspaces.org. That is specialspaces.org.
Bill Michaels will resume in 5 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 4 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Financial, and my buddy Scott Ellis is fantastic. And I know this is the time of year people start looking at their house saying, you know what, downsize or maybe buy a new one, think about building one, or you're going, you know what, this is going to be the year we're going to get completely out of debt. We're going to refi, use some of that equity and put our life back on track. Or maybe you got something coming up you want to do, maybe you want to take a big trip, a family vacation now that everything's back and pretty much open. My buddy Scott Ellis with Homeside Financial can get it done. 414-791-7771. Now, when I went through the process, I was going through the divorce. I wanted to refi. I was getting her off my mortgage, all that kind of stuff. I was taking my house back and going through everything I needed to do to clean everything up. This guy, I called him kind of like the janitor because he was cleaning up the mess. Scott was fantastic. I'm telling you, they're just simply as nobody better when it came to my mortgage. And he did an outstanding job. He was always available, provided a great rate, which right now, most rates are between 6.5, and 7, and possibly even going up. He's got a 2-1 buy down, and it starts you out at 4.5%. And a lot of people are starting to take advantage of this because you can always refi after a while too. So get a hold of Scott. If that sounds attractive, you want to get more information, call up Scott and say, hey, I heard it on Bill's show. You got 4.5% rate with this buy down, this 2-1 buy down, and ask him about it. It's fantastic. 414-791-7771. 414-791-7771. Again,
Whether it's buying a new home, getting a new mortgage, getting pre-qualified, or maybe getting home equity, whatever it happens to be, he can help you out. Again, 414-791-7771. 414-791-7771. Get a hold of our guy, Scott Ellis. So good stuff there. Thank you for being a part of the program. 877-867-1670. If you want to give us a shout, do it by all means. This one is from Fisk Dog, who says, hey, unit, not quite sure what golf channel you're talking about on TikTok. There was many different funny golf videos. I have seen a lot of different videos from the Waste Management Open. They're all hilarious. And you're right. It's just a bunch of drunk people falling down. How wasted do you have to be to go to the Waste Management Open? He also says the one thing we don't know about Jordan Love is whether or not he can win. Let's say the Packers do make the move. They trade away Aaron Rodgers. They pick up a couple of first-round draft choices. Those draft choices don't hit, and we're looking at Jordan Love as being nothing more than an average quarterback. How much do you think fans are then going to bitch, moan, and bellyache about getting rid of Aaron Rodgers a year or two too early? That's right. I mean, I don't know what else you want me to say. If this dog, you're 100% correct. We are a what have you done for me lately society. That's it. So if it works out and Jordan Love suddenly becomes the real deal, people are going to say, why didn't you do this earlier? And if it doesn't, they're going to say, I can't understand why you did what you did. This is the stupidest thing you could have ever done. You didn't get enough for him. And when you did make the choice, the draft choices were busts, and, on and on and on and on. Just is. I don't know what to tell you. But we are, like you said, a what have you done for me lately society. Wholeheartedly, I believe that. JJ said, have you seen Tom Brady commenting on Janet Jackson's uniform malfunction? It's hilarious. I have not. I have not seen. Did he do his podcast with Jim Gray today or something? Something that I didn't know about? I have not seen that. And God, that's been a while now, right?
It was 2004, Bill. I have found a quote of it on his podcast. He said, quote, it was probably a good thing for the NFL because it led to exposure.
Okay. Well, it's true. 100% true. Now, it might not have been, to me personally, I think it was the best thing for her career, too. She was already a hit. I mean, for all the hits that she has had, she was already rocking it. But that put her like to a different stratus because it was, if you remember, and now they've got like this Zapruder film. We've seen so many close-ups and slow motions and clarity as we've now gotten into pixelation and the reduction of pixelation and such. Now it's clearly everybody sees that she had a shield over her nipple. It was like some kind of a decorative thing that she had on her nipple. So it wasn't like it was a completely exposed nipple. It was just, he ripped the top off and the boob came out and everyone went, oh, and it was like for a split second. And everybody thought she had some giant, big old metal looking nipple. And turns out it wasn't. It was like a nipple hat, for lack of a better term. And Justin Timberlake just did the, oh my God, I can't believe I did that thing. And she was like, oh my God, I'm so embarrassed. But everybody knew what the hell was going on. We're going to flop out a boob at the Super Bowl. Okay. We're all going to, go through the stratosphere. It is what it is. It was a kind of my assumption it was a pasty, but they do make, now I'm going to get into something weird here.
Oh God.
Here we go, Ben. So they do make if you get your nipples pierced, okay. And the only reason I know this is because right next to Nice Ash used to be a piercing place where you would take,
you went in and asked what happened.
No.
I got your nipples pierced?
I saw it in the window and I had to go in and ask. But basically, it's this medieval-looking metal piece that basically you place over your nipple. So just like the tip of your nipple comes through, okay? And they pierce your nipple, and what they do is when they pierce your nipple, they pull it a little bit,
pierce it, and then you put the bar, it's a longer bar, and it goes through your nipple, thus holding the shield on. And they made that. It's like a, for lack of a better term, it's like a boob decoration, I guess. I don't know. But
I don't care.
Right? So maybe that's what it was. I don't know. I just remember they slowed it down. We've looked at it 1,000 times. Everybody's seen her boob, and now we can all move on, you know? That was it. I think much like many things in my life, I remember where I was when. A friend of mine had a house party for the Super Bowl. I was sitting on the couch. I was married at the time. My wife, Judy, and her friends were in the kitchen. Everybody came out to watch the halftime show. There were people sitting on the floor, people sitting on the couches. And it happened. And we all went, what? Wait, what? And, you know, we all knew, we thought we saw. We all looked at each other and goes, was that a boob? That was a boob. Was that a boob? Was that a big nipple? I saw a big nipple. Did you see a nipple? That was a boob, right? That was a boob. And then we all went back to drinking. That was the day. And I remember where I was when. There you go. Pac-Fan says, I think I need a cigarette after this discussion. I agree with you. Jason says, sure, Bill. We all know that you and Mike Clemens went to get it done in Arizona. Yeah, no. No, no, not happening. I'm not piercing a nipple. Just so you know, I'm not piercing a nipple. Yeah. That's as far as I'm going to go with that discussion. Just an FYI. I'm not piercing anything else for that matter. I had a pierced ear back when I was doing rock radio. I did have that. I still have the hole for that, as a matter of fact. Never closed up. But I'm not piercing anything else. Not piercing anything genitalia. Not piercing a nipple. Not piercing the back of my neck. None of that. Just, you know. So, all right. That's the body sculpture and body art portion of the program. We thank you for taking a listen to us and kind of feeling it out with us, pardon the pun. This portion of the program brought to you by the Water Doctors. They are in Waukesha, Wisconsin, but the Water Doctors and the Connecticut Water Softening System all over the state of Wisconsin, and they would love to help you help them. How? This is what you do. You call them up, 262-549-7733. John Atley and the gang, 262-549-7733. You can ask John if he's got a piercing. You can go there, but you tell him you want to talk about the water softening system, the one that Bill Michaels recommends, because it is absolutely positively the best. I can show you at my house. It's fantastic. It's awesome. Okay. So all you got to do is get a hold of them. H2 the letter O doctors.com. That's H2 the letter O doctors.com, or call John 262-549-7733. And you pick up the Connecticut Water Softening System anywhere in the state of Wisconsin. They can help you out with installation and get you in touch with the right people. Don't worry about that. Get you taken care of. Also, they do great things for the Custom Canine Service Dog Academy, helping veterans who are in need of service animals. And that is more near and dear to my heart than anything. But I love this water softening system. Always have, always will. I've got it in my house. I swear by it. But get our friends at the Water Doctors a call, 262-549-7733.
This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
They say the sky's the limit, but why stop there? This February at Potawatomi Casino Hotel, you can reach for the stars. Each Thursday night, if the stars align, you can reach for 100 cash. Just card 3 drawing days. Your win is written in the stars. Just play to find it. Only at Potawatomi. Visit paysbig.com/stars for more. Must be 21 years old and a club member to play.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Welcome back. Good to have you. Bill Michaels Show. We continue on. Ben, did you see the guy I sent from the? It's Golf Entrepreneur is one of them, and he covered quite extensively the Waste Management Open on TikTok. Did you see that?
I did, yeah. I got the
He got some good shots of the streaker swimming out to the WM in the middle of the pond, and got the pictures of him being then restrained, I guess. And then the drunk guy on TikTok who's trying to walk down the hill. He's just a hammered mess. And so there's that. That guy, he can't even stay up. He looks like he's just going to fall into the stands. But I'm trying to find, there's another, pardon me, there's another one. It's like Golf Gourd or something like that. I can't remember what it is, but I gotta get to it because it's just nothing but a montage of idiots at the Waste Management Open. It's hilarious. If you haven't seen it, it's really, really good. Let's do this. Speaking of golf, our friends at luxgolfbays.com. Now I know we got a winter storm coming apparently, but they just say, hey, don't worry about it. We got you covered. Literally, they're covered and they're heated, and you can still go down and get your swing on. So check out our friends at Lux, L-U-X-E, luxgolfbays.com. That's luxgolfbays.com. Some breaking news out of baseball. Frankie Montas could possibly come back in the second half of the season for the Yankees. Going to miss the season for most of it anyway with shoulder surgery. He started throwing, felt a twinge. They went in there, looked around. He's got a tear. So there you go. The Yankees are already losing guys. They're not even into the season yet. And they've got the victory parade going on in Kansas City. And the buses, the KC Champs, and cigars are being smoked, and champagne is being spewed.
I don't care.
And so that's taking place. Andy Reid, he very much looks like he's just he never really smiles. He just looks like he's just waving in the front of this bus, just waving. Like he's going through the Macy's parade. Like, at the end of this, I'm going to get turkey. You know?
So he's just kind of sitting up there next to. I don't. Is that his wife, Ben? Did you see the video? His wife is in the like the leopard, the leopard print mink.
No, I
Have you seen it? Okay, if you see it,
I'm purposely avoiding Twitter.
Okay, maybe it's his wife, but he's got a woman next to him who's in leopard.
He's got a woman in leopard that is on the front of the bus with him, and Andy Reid is going through the parade right now, and he's like waving, and he looks like doesn't even want to be there. Like this sucks. It's cold. I want to go home. And she's decked out in this. I mean, like all the way up to her neck, she's in fur. This leopard look fur. And then she's got the matching fur on her head as a hat. So you just see like a little portion of her face and her eyes, and she's all this big, burly leopard looking thing. So anyway, long story short, if you're checking out the Kansas City Chiefs victory parade video, you can find it there. But Patrick Mahomes is walking around with a WWE belt, and he's got the belt on, walking up and down the streets, shaking hands with fans and everything. I can't believe security's not going crazy, because he's just walking around with a bottle of champagne and a cigar, shaking hands. And in the meantime, Andy Reid and a bunch of the other players are up in the top of these buses, and they're drinking and popping champagne and smoking cigars, and the trophy's up there. And Andy's like, "Can we just go home? I need a cheeseburger." So there you have it. There you go. I know it didn't make your day, but you can't be bitter. You can't be bitter, right?
I'm not bitter. I'm still grieving. Like, cool. They're good.
I get it.
Whatever.
I get it. We got another hour yet to go. Hang in there. We got a lot more of the Bill Michaels Show coming up. Stay tuned. We got more right after this.
This is a Wisconsin Sports Zone update.
Well, Wisconsin got a much-needed win over Michigan last night, beating the Wolverines 64-59, but they did not make it easy on themselves. Badgers did not make a shot in the final 10 minutes and 45 seconds, a string of 15 straight misses to end the game. But Coach Greg Gard said they were able to overcome it.
I told the team we're going to have first thing Thursday, because we have tomorrow off, is we're going to start with layup practice. But they responded on the other end and shot the line well. We had some good looks. So, hey, you gotta keep shooting them. If you like them, let them fly. If it's in your wheelhouse and something you do well. But the most important thing is how we responded on the other end, and that was the key.
Wisconsin got a career-high 23 points from Connor Esijan. That included going 5 for 6 from the free throw line in the final 44 seconds to seal the deal. Badgers improved to 7-8 in Big Ten play, 15-10 overall. Going to welcome in Rutgers on Saturday for another massive game. Turning the Bucks took overtime, but they got by the shorthanded Celtics 131-125 last night for their 11th straight win. Drew Holiday tied a career high with 40 points, including what proved to be the game-winning three-pointer in the final minute. Giannis Antetokounmpo, 36 points, 13 rebounds. Milwaukee moved to within a half game of Boston for the top spot in the East. They'll be at Chicago tomorrow.
For nearly 40 years, ABC of Wisconsin has been helping men and women transform themselves into well-paid, productive members of their construction teams. Today, we have 2,000 active apprentices in 10 different skilled trade programs, and we educate individuals in more trades than anyone else. To get your career started, go to buildyourcareerwi.org or just search online for ABC of Wisconsin.
Well, Aaron Rodgers going to enter his 4-day darkness isolation retreat later this week. The hope is he'll have a clearer picture on whether he wants to play football after that. The quarterback expected to deliver his decision to the Packers prior to the start of free agency next month. With this Wisconsin Sports Zone Network update, I'm Zach Heil.
Welcome in one, welcome in all. The Bill Michaels Show. We continue on this hour, final hour of the program. Got a lot to that we've noshed on today. Bucks get a big win last night, albeit not against a team in the Boston Celtics that was at full strength, but really neither were the Bucks when you think about it. And so the Bucks, they're now just a half game behind the Boston Celtics for the best record in the NBA. In the meantime, the Badgers got a nice win last night. They, even though they didn't hit a field goal in the last 10 plus minutes of the game, they were still able to overcome by hitting free throws and playing some really solid defense. Chucky Hepburn with a big steal down the stretch, and they got some quality minutes from everybody, defensively speaking. So that was nice to see. Maybe that could be some kind of a Big Ten jumping off point for them. And then you got Marquette going up against Xavier, and that's for the top spot in the Big East, as Marquette continues to have a very, very, very marketable, quiet season. I know the city of Milwaukee is more waking up and paying attention to it. But I think around the country, they're now looking at Marquette going, okay, Shaka's got this thing on the right track. They're back and they're for real. The Horizon League, the UWM Panthers have played well this year. And maybe this is the start of some bigger and better things for them as well. College basketball. You love to see college basketball. Everybody doing well all at once. It makes for a much more exciting tournament. Come NCAA, March Madness time. So looking forward to that. And that takes us all the way into, pitchers and catchers, daytime baseball, spring training baseball, all that kind of stuff. And then we get back into the NFL draft and just after opening day. And it begins our kind of unofficial start to the summer season. So I can't wait. I'm looking forward to all this stuff. It's and then at some point, Punxsutawney Aaron's going to come out of the darkness and make his decision, and that's going to set off a whole chain reaction there. So there's a lot of good stuff going on. We are the hotbed, my friends. We have been for quite some time. When you think about sports as a whole entity, for what we get to do, Ben, what you and I get to do for a living, it has been fantastic because we are in the kind of the nexus of the universe. The Brewers were a contender for quite some time. Now, hopefully they are this year, but they were a contender for quite some time, even going into COVID when Christian Yelich ends up signing that big contract. The Bucks are winning Bucks won a championship. The Packers are always an area of discussion. Badger football, while it was down, it became up again with Luke Fickell taking over, and they've had some success. So the Badger men's basketball program, you'd like to see them have more success, but hopefully eventually they get that thing straightened out and get it right. And we had D3 is fantastic. Marquette's now going after the Baldwin experience at UWM. That's now up and running. If we can just get Green Bay back on the map, we'd be really, really good. We're kind of blessed to live in this area, and we don't have multiple teams like New York or any other major market city for that matter. We're just Wisconsin, man, and we're kicking the hell out of everybody. Chicago has to look up to us, both in figurative and literal. Like it. Oh. By the way, Brett wants me to ask you, Ben, are you more upset now or back when Duke beat UW?
Now.
Okay.
It's close. Like, honest, I've never been more.
Never?
Which might be a good thing.
Okay. That passionate about the loss, huh?
Just sucks.
Okay. At what point do you think you begin to put this behind you?
That's a good question. Tiger Woods plays golf this weekend. That is a good escape from it. Pitchers and catchers are reporting this week, maybe when baseball season starts.
Did you see the picture from spring training, by the way? They must have had a hell of a rainstorm. I knew they were supposed to get rain.
Yeah.
They must have had a hell of a rainstorm. Like everything in the field area is underwater. So they must have got torrential. They call it, by the way, if they get a thunderstorm out there, it's not a thunderstorm. It is, quote, monsoon season. I learned that from natives. Yeah, I learned that from natives that live out there in Arizona, out in Phoenix. So I said, well, what are your seasons? Because you guys really don't have a big, devastating winter. And when it comes to natural type of stuff, you're not on an earthquake fault. You don't get hurricanes here. Tornadoes, maybe a sandstorm every now and then. They said, no, it's monsoon season. So what the hell is that? Well, we get thunderstorms, big thunderstorms, that'll dump a couple of inches of rain. Oh, okay. It's kind of a common thing here living in the Midwest. We get the monsoons, if you want to call them that, and tornadoes. But out there, when they get a couple of inches of rain, believe it or not, in a desert, it doesn't absorb. It doesn't just sink right in within, a matter of seconds like it does here with the drainage systems and such. There's nowhere for some of this stuff to go. So it floods areas, and suddenly things that are looking like just rock-filled canyons become raging rivers and all of that. So, I guess it is what it is. Every now and then you'll get, like in Flagstaff and some of the upper elevations, you get some snow. I got a guy, Rick says my son got some snow in Tucson. Every now and then you'll get some crazy weather out there, but for the most part, they don't see the dramaticness of season the way we do. That's for sure. Except for when it goes from, 70 degrees to 125 degrees. They've had a few more of those lately. But anyway. Rick says also it sucks that Chicago is in the vortex of suckdom. Correct? I'm not weeping for Chicago. Not at all. Not at all. I'm not. I don't mind the Cubs going down. The White Sox, I really don't care too much about the White Sox. If the White Sox win, they win. If they don't, they don't. But the Cubs, for the most part. Now, I do know some Cubs people and Cubs fans that I like. But for the most part, there are some really not obnoxious Cubs fans. Bears fans, it's always just a great rivalry. It's a lot of fun. It's fun spirited, but I'm not a fan by any stretch. Beyond that, what else is there? The Bulls, they're relevant, but they're not overly relevant. Blackhawks, I like the Blackhawks, but I like a lot of hockey teams. I don't really have a fan favorite there. What else is there? There's not much more. What else would you be a fan of the city for? The overwhelming pot smoke that fills the air as you walk down the street? Some of you may. Who knows? The crime? Maybe. Maybe you're a fan of crime. If you're into crime busting, if you're a superhero, move to Chicago. The high taxes, the terrible traffic. I've been offered a couple of jobs there. I never took it. 877-867-1678. You would have to pay me a lot of money to go to Chicago. I mean, a lot of money to go to Chicago. I was tempted once. And then I started to look into it, and I started to do the taxes, and I started to kind of look at the cost of living and where the area they wanted me to live. And, there was even a promise of, hey, we'll get you a car to bring you into work and all that kind. And I'm like, And then I think I would have been actually taking a pay cut had I moved to Illinois. And so I was like, I don't really want to do that. Not only are you basically working for the same amount of money, but then you're changing your lifestyle. And I love it in Wisconsin. That's the reason I never left. And Rick says even some of the colleges in Illinois suck. Now, I will say there's a few of them, I like. Loyola Chicago, I'm a fan of. Sister Jean, I don't mind her. She's a religious lady. I'm not going to get on her for anything. Give her a high five. Hope she doesn't break anything. They got Brett Bielema down there in Illinois. I have no problem beating up on Illinois. You can't really beat up on Northwestern. Northwestern's Northwestern. It's an academic institution with really high grass. Can't stand that, but it is what it is. There you go. This one's from Cassidy. Cassidy says, hey, unit, the Waste Management Open was fun. I enjoyed going to both the Super Bowl and the WM. You're right, though. I did see a lot of drunk people, a lot of young drunk people that were all being arrested and or ticketed. And had to be removed from the gallery. They just wouldn't shut up. It was becoming annoying. And I'm 37 years old. Cassidy, it's hard to, because the golfers really liked it. Ben, was there a golfer that hated it? They all said it was a great atmosphere.
Well, yeah, publicly. I'm sure there are many inside that don't like it.
I'm sure there's some people that didn't
Rory.
like it.
Rory never plays Phoenix. Now he has to because of the new way they do the tour and all the elevated events. He doesn't like the whole atmosphere, boisterousness
Right.
of the fans.
But
he'd rather be in a foxhole playing golf.
He doesn't come from here. He is the old, European way of dignity and class and, appropriateness. And I completely understand and respect that. There is that portion of the game, but times are changing. So I understand it. It was rowdy like that back when Tiger played it, like, I don't know, maybe 10 years ago. It wasn't to this level of rowdiness, but when Tiger came back and played the Waste Management Open like 10 years ago, it was pretty rowdy. I think it was 2008 or 2014. I can't remember which. But I remember the town was abuzz. Oh my God, Tiger's coming, Tiger's coming, Tiger's coming. And then when he showed up, the place was getting a little bit nuts back then. But yeah, I don't mind that crowd as long as it's not unruly. I love the cheering. I've always thought there should be some aspect of it. Tiger brought it back when Tiger was Tiger. Tiger brought that kind of enthusiasm. They wanted to explode. They just weren't allowed to explode. But I remember some of the, walking when he was walking up 16, 17, and 18 in back-to-back championships at the Masters and just smoking the rest of the field. I mean, that place was erupting. You were watching something beyond greatness in the world of golf at the time. Those galleries, and they grew and they were following him. I mean, everybody wanted to use the Arnie's Army type of scenario, but you didn't dare do it out of the respect of Arnold Palmer. But it was beyond that. It was beyond Arnie's Army. It was huge. The following that Tiger had and the fascination with Tiger Woods and what he was accomplishing, because he was just torching golf courses in the field, and it was just amazing to watch. So it became a little more loud back then, but the Waste Management Open has taken on a life of its own. It just has. It's wild. And I'll tell you this, and you bring up a good point, Brett. It was mild-mannered. It was a mild-mannered Ryder Cup when they were here. It was still boisterous. I'm, sitting around 9 and 18. It was pretty raucous, but I don't think with that 3-storied venue they have around 16 at the Waste Management Open, there's not much that compares to that. I'll just say that. There's not much that compares to that. 877-867-1670. There's a terrific company right here in our own backyard called Pindel, Pindel. Go to Pindel.com. They are hiring, quality manufacturing and machining process. If you want to do it the old way, if you want to learn robotics, if you want to start your own company eventually, they train you. They give you great benefits. It's a career. It's a lifetime. Not just if you don't like it, you don't like it. But if you go there and you really get into it and you really get into the company and they do great work and they continue to grow and expand, you grow and expand with them. They have a great 401k process as well. They've got terrific benefits. So get a hold of our friends at Pindel, Pindel.com. Go to Pindel.com.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Everywhere you look, from groceries to utilities to gas, prices keep going up. Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin can dramatically help lower your energy costs year-round by replacing drafty windows and doors in as little as 6 weeks. And now you can save even more by taking advantage of 0% interest for up to 48 months when you lock in your prices by February 28th. I'm Gina Della from Pella. Bring the love of Wisconsin's outdoors in through the beauty and quality craftsmanship of Pella Windows and Doors. Whether you're updating or upgrading the look and comfort of your home, Pella has extensive lines of customizable options to meet your needs and your budget, no matter the season. Replacing drafty windows and doors can dramatically lower your energy costs. Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin offers some of the most energy efficient windows in the industry, designed to keep the cold outside where it belongs. Lock in your prices by February 28th and get 0% interest for up to 48 months. Visit PellaWI.com.
Certain restrictions apply.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Hard to find.
Welcome back to the program. Glad to have you. Bill Michaels Show. They, the Irish Cultural and Heritage Center, they are excited to be bringing
David Howley to the ICHC. Get your tickets now. April 21st. Get your tickets now. They have got some terrific stuff going on. Shane Hennessy just finished up his deal, which was fantastic, by the way. They've got the Drowsy Lads coming this weekend on the set. By the way, let me pause for a minute. I can't believe nobody corrected me. I mean, I know a lot of people listen to this show, and there are people that are floating around out there that love when I make a mistake. I can't believe nobody corrected this. But I for whatever reason, I was thinking this weekend was St. Patrick's Day. And it's usually because when I'm out in Arizona, St. Patrick's Day is like around or during the I'm thinking time for St. Day. Everybody pointed St. Patrick's Day isn't until March. Maybe somebody did and I just missed it. So I'm thinking this weekend here on Friday the 17th, the Drowsy Lads are going to be here. No better way to celebrate St. Patrick's Day. And I'm saying this and nobody corrected me. Because normally people do. I guess everybody was just getting in the spirit. But the ICHC, the Irish Cultural and Heritage Center, have the Drowsy Lads coming up this weekend, this Friday. And I'm an idiot because I was thinking, oh, my God, it's going to be a great day. It's going to be a fun day of all kinds of stuff going on with St. Patrick's Day and then heading out to the bars. And then afterwards, you end up with the Drowsy Lads. And here people are like, no, it's a month away, you moron. And I just didn't know. I didn't know. Ben, did you realize it when I was saying it?
No.
No, of course not. Nobody.
I think
did.
I was answering a call because he asked me if I would come with you. And I didn't hear the first part of the question.
I know,
so
right?
As I normally do, I said yes.
Yeah, you're like, yeah, what the hell? You never show up.
Wisely.
Yeah, you guys never show up. But yeah, I can't believe I completely missed that. I'm like, what an idiot. Kristen, of all people, she was listening yesterday, 2 days ago on Monday after we got back from Arizona. And she said, oh, by the way, why are you saying that St. Patrick's Day is this weekend? I said, because it's the 17th. Remember we were talking about it was going to be on a Friday and we're going to go out with Budweiser and take the day off. And she goes, no, it's a month away. I'm like, what?
Wait, we're taking a day off?
So I'm mulling it over. Budweiser sends out limos. And I told you, they send the buses with the bagpipers and the Guinness girls and all that kind of stuff. And we go to bars and you hit like 20 bars in 12 hours. And you start out at 7 a.m. and you go till 7 p.m. And you hit all these bars and you go in with the bagpipers and you give away beads and hats and shirts and you spread cheer and you give away beer. We buy beer for a lot of the people that are there and all that kind of stuff. And and I'm all fired up because I'm telling Kristen, hey, we got a full day. We got Budweiser limo and all that kind of stuff. And then we got special spaces on Friday night and the gala. And boy, we got to be sober. She's like, what are you talking about? You're saying all this stuff on the air. And she's like, Bill, St. Patrick's Day is not till March. I had to think about it for a minute. I'm like, oh, you're right. And that makes me a complete moron. And then you shake your head and you want to tell everybody right away. You want to go, hey, just kidding. Psych. Going back to the 80s. Psych. But I was a moron. So you have to come out and admit it. When you do stupid stuff, you have to admit it. Go to ICHC.net, though, for all the lineup, the musical lineup, which is absolutely fantastic. Shane Hennessy just rocked the house. Drowsy Lads coming up this weekend. You've got Alistair Frazier and Natalie Haas coming in April. They're going to be there. So just so many good things. Lunasa coming on March 5th. March 4th, by the way, JP Cormier and Dave Gunning. So it's a back-to-back. But for all the tickets, for all the great music and the concerts and such, right there at a magnificent building on Wisconsin Avenue in Milwaukee, right next to the Marquette campus, go to ICHC.net, ICHC.net, or just get a hold of our buddy Corey, 414-345-8800, and just tell him, say, hey, Corey, I heard Bill Michaels is a moron, but we hear you got some great acts going on, and give Corey a good laugh because he loves it when I screw that stuff up. So call Corey, 414-345-8800. There you go. Oh, my goodness. And now I'm getting reports. Our buddy Rick says there's nothing worse than the day after you drink green beer and have corned beef. We already went from nipple piercings. We don't want to go into, movements, so to speak, the day after you have green beer. 877-867-1670. Hit us up. 877-867-1670. Well, this one is from Jason, who says, have you seen any of the mock drafts? By the way, first of all, let me start out by saying, yes, I have seen some of the mock drafts. Okay. I've seen a lot of that take place. I know that it depends on what the Packers do and don't trade. I understand all of that. But I'm not that into it just yet. I just started really kind of going through it. I know that a lot of people are thinking about Brian Breezy, the defensive lineman from Clemson. Somebody had talked about in the second round, Derek Hall? He's from Auburn. I know that a lot of people, including myself, are looking at the tight end, the kid Mayer, coming out of Notre Dame. But I just haven't gotten that into it yet. We're not even through the combine yet. So we're not even there yet, but I appreciate
Brian Branch is my guy, Bill.
Brian Branch,
the safety at Alabama.
Is it?
Yeah.
As in the first round?
At number, what are they? 15?
15, yeah.
And then you go, there will be tight ends in the second round. They're not all going to go that early.
Right.
So you have the Darnell. I want Darnell Washington.
Okay, but
he's like,
if you have two guys that are basically rated in the same area, who would you take? Would you go with the safety or would you go with the tight end?
If it's Brian Branch or Michael or Mayer?
Mayer, yeah. Which would you go with?
I would take Branch. I think he could be a more impactful player. And then because they're so deep at tight end, a kid like Darnell Washington, you bring him in the building, you get him a little more refined catching the ball. And he could be a force. There are a bunch of dudes like that. At safety, I don't know how deep it is after Branch.
God, here we go. Opening up the Pandora's box that is. Now, Tom writes, if the Packers trade with the Raiders, do you think they could jump up and get a big offensive tackle? I really like the kid out of Northwestern. That's Peter Skoronski. He is highly touted, and he, from what I understand, can play both sides. So if you want to move on from Bakhtiari, he could be your left tackle. But he's now, I've seen him play, and I've seen very little film. I have not really gotten that deep into it. But when I was talking with Greg Cosell out in Arizona, and Greg has been with NFL Films, does the draft, and does the NFL matchup show, he's really high on Skoronski. He said, look, if you're going to move on from Bakhtiari, this is the guy you want to go with. This is the guy you want to get to. Because he says he's unbelievably quick. His footwork is probably already NFL ready. But they do like him because he can kind of go to either side. He can play either side. But he's been a terrific left tackle for Northwestern. So if you trade Aaron Rodgers and you get that 7th overall pick, then maybe that's the direction you go in. And then you can keep Mayer if you choose to go so, or like, Ben said, you go with a big safety. You want to go in that direction, you can do that as well. So, to me, as long as you get better and you're taking the best player, fantastic. Now, it was Branch out of Alabama was the guy you liked?
He's one of them. I mean, there are a lot, right?
Okay.
If you're midway through the first round, which they are not normally there. There's this kid coming out of Iowa too, Lucas Van Ness, defensive lineman, who was a backup for them, weirdly. But he's a freak. He's ridiculous. From what I've seen following his career, I'm kind of anti-Skoronski.
Okay.
And I know you are. That some of the Wisconsin players that I talked to on our show hadn't had, compared to other tackles they face, let's say, the most glowing reviews.
Right. Yeah.
Where there were others where they said, okay, yeah, they were much better.
Would you go with Smith and Jigba out of Ohio State?
Oh, easily. He's incredible.
Because he's another guy that's going to be there, but he's not expected to go high. He's like a low first round guy in the 20s.
Which I think is stupid.
Which is a little bit crazy. The other kid that I like is Cam Smith, the corner out of South Carolina. And again, I don't want to get too deep into this. The corner out of South Carolina. Gonzalez, the corner out of Oregon. The kid Gonzalez out of Oregon. When I started to talk about corners, just in case the Packers needed to go in that direction, because maybe, Stokes is not going to be the guy. We'll wait and see after his injury. But that was one of the names that came up. Witherspoon, the kid out of Illinois, is also kind of in that area. And he's a guy I like the fact that him, because he's a playmaker, he's aggressive, and he's got good hands. His ball skills, they say, are really, really good. So I'd like to see that, but that's about as far as I get before I start to have my eyes roll back in my head when I'm really not concentrating on getting deep into the draft yet. So 877-867-1670. Find us. If you got something to say it. We'll get back to the phone calls when we come back. We got a little bit off track. Stay tuned. A whole lot more of the Bill Michaels Show. It's all coming up right after this.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 5 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 4 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Bill Michaels Show. Couple of segments to go before we get out of here today. Thanks for taking a listen. Milwaukee, I guess they have some Admiral stuff going on. So you can always find us. For those that are asking, you can always track down the app. You can listen to us on YouTube. You can listen to us on Facebook. You can listen to us on the link that pops up via Twitter, on Twitch TV. But if you go to WOZN, the Zone in Madison, download that app. You can hear the show. And I think there's only maybe a 10, 15 second delay or something like that. It's not huge. But you can listen to us there as well. Just an FYI. By the way, speaking of finding us, if you can't find us, Smoke on the Water, heading out that direction today. Got a few places I got to go to. Smoke on the Water has a fried chicken on Wednesdays. Yukon golden mashed potatoes, buttercorn, cornbread, muffins, all that kind of good stuff. Big fried chicken dinner coming up tonight. Delicious Wednesday special. 3 pieces of the crispy fried chicken over at Smoke on the Water. That's on Okachi. Then they have Sloppy Joe's, which is fantastic. And I keep calling it Wisconsin-style pub, where you can get one of the best old fashions you ever have. That's right there at on Hubertus, in Hubertus, just east of Holy Hill. That's Sloppy Joe's. So either place, you can't go wrong. Can't go wrong in either place. Let's get back to the phones. Let's talk to our buddy Gerard, listening to us in Delaware. Gerard, how you doing today, man? What's going on?
Hey, Bill. Just you brought up the draft, just if Meyer's there from Notre Dame. Now I'm a Notre Dame fan. I watched him his whole career. He's a heavier, better blocking.
I don't care.
Andrews.
Okay.
How was the riots on the street there? Were you there for that then? I saw some
Get
guys
the hell out of here, buddy.
buddy.
I was depressed as hell, lying on my floor, face down.
At least you didn't riot. At least you didn't riot.
How
That's
many
good.
guys were in the room? But anyway, I wanted to say this about Rodgers. Then I got something to talk about Favre's lawyer, what he said on one of the shows. As far as Rodgers, I think it's better a year too early than a year too late. If they can get what the rumors are, they can get for him. Okay, I'm not going to give him away for like they did with Favre for a third round pick or whatever.
Right.
I'd suffer another year of the nonsense, and the whole bit. But the thing I wanted to get to, Jason Whitlock, who I respect, he had Favre's lawyer on. And if you guys watch this, it's pretty amazing. He said that he went to Shannon Sharp, his lawyer, and asked him to apologize and retract what he said, and he refused to. Then he said he went, he didn't go to McAfee, but he said the problem with McAfee is he doubled down on what he said about Favre. And and to paraphrase what he said he's basically going to put McAfee bankrupt.
If he can, yeah.
Yeah, and this is this is why I can't stand the debate shows. I don't watch them. I see podcast stuff. You know what I mean? I'll go through it real quick, but I can't take it anymore because these guys feel they have the right just to say these outrageous things about people, Bill.
Mm-hmm.
And you have a talk show. It's quite different. You know what I mean? It's quite you're topical. It's very different. You're opinionated. That's a lot different than saying verbatim that this guy did this. And, really, you can't just say, this has to stop. It really does.
It's interesting, though, Gerard, because, and I appreciate it. So let me explain this for those that don't know. Appreciate the phone call. So Favre. You just mad. So Brett Favre, his people are suing Pat McAfee, Shannon Sharp, and then the state auditor from Mississippi for dragging his name through the mud because of all of the welfare fraud allegations. Okay. So Favre has basically denied this, and it's been reported for a long time that Favre was a part of this, and they released everything from voicemails to text messages, I guess. And it looks terrible for Favre. I mean, it looks like he knew he was stealing money. He didn't want it to come out. And so the fact that he has not been charged, I think at this point says a lot, but it looks bad. They're not fighting the public outrage. What they're fighting is the guys that have doubled down to basically say Favre's a scum, and anything they can find that somebody says that maybe isn't true, they're claiming defamation and such. Okay. So when it comes to McAfee and Shannon Sharp, they're suing them to get them to shut up. And McAfee has been ruthless in his, pursuit of Brett Favre. I mean, just anything and everything. And McAfee says it kind of off the cuff, but we all know he's followed by many. We get that. But he has been hard on Favre. He's one of the only people that have been unbelievably hard on Favre. Not to say that's a terrible thing, because if this is all true, it's as somebody who works on the board of a charity, it's terrible. It's terrible that that money is being taken away from those in need and appropriated somewhere else. So I get it, but they're trying to get McAfee and Sharp and everybody to apologize and say, no, this isn't true, or we're sorry for what we said. We'll wait for the process to play out. And McAfee was like, go F yourself. If you're even remotely involved in this, you're a scumbag. And he doubled down. And so that's kind of what's going on. Now we'll see if this thing goes, the distance when it comes to hearings and such, because if you're going to sue, and I've learned this, I've talked to people that have been through this. Go back to when Roger Clemens sued. you have to have either the proof that they have on you is fabricated or false or misleading, and you have to prove that you have been financially harmed by this, which we all know once you're a celebrity of some type that you can be financially harmed by this kind of claim. So I'm going to be really interested to see what all comes out, because believe me, with the money from FanDuel and, behind him, McAfee is going to have a team, a bevy of high-end attorneys that are going to come after Favre 6 ways from Sunday. And he is then going to have to explain everything, which is maybe what some people want. They want to get him on the record and say, hey, what did you and did you not do? And if he can't, kind of negotiate his way out of this to say he was completely unknowing, he's kind of an unwilling participant in all of this, unknowing participant. If he can't prove that, then first of all, the lawsuit would become, moot. And secondly, anything he says there could then be used against him in a criminal case, should they decide to file that against him in Mississippi. So he's got to be really, really sure of things, or have a lot of things on his side for him to say, I'm going to come out and sue. I find it fascinating, but I'm more so than anything, I'm waiting for it to play out. Yes, Ben.
I was going to retroactively say allegedly at the end of every statement you made, just so we don't also enter the crosshairs.
Yeah, right.
Just so, this is what's being said.
We can only know what's being reported.
Yeah. My only official statement on the matter is I hope he did not also hire Patrick Reed's lawyer.
Right. Otherwise, he's just suing everybody, and everybody's going to be officially subpoenaed on any holiday upcoming. Right? I think that's probably the premise we're looking at here.
While Patrick Reed continues to allegedly
cheat. Okay. Final segment of the Bill Michaels Show. It's coming up right after this.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Everywhere you look, from groceries to utilities to gas, prices keep going up. Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin can dramatically help lower your energy costs year-round by replacing drafty windows and doors in as little as 6 weeks. And now you can save even more by taking advantage of 0% interest for up to 48 months when you lock in your prices by February 28th. I'm Gina Della from Pella. Bring the love of Wisconsin's outdoors in through the beauty and quality craftsmanship of Pella Windows and Doors. Whether you're updating or upgrading the look and comfort of your home, Pella has extensive lines of customizable options to meet your needs and your budget, no matter the season. Replacing drafty windows and doors can dramatically lower your energy costs. Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin offers some of the most energy efficient windows in the industry, designed to keep the cold outside where it belongs. Lock in your prices by February 28th and get 0% interest for up to 48 months. Visit PellaWI.com.
Any season is grilling season, and you can get your favorite cuts delivered right to your doorstep. Go to ScholzieFamilyBeef.com. That's ScholzieFamilyBeef.com.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Welcome back. Good to have you. Bill Michaels Show. Continuing on this Wednesday. It's kind of a weird day. No huddle tonight. So we're just off to do our own things tonight. So I'm just going to sit back and catch whatever's on the tube, sports-wise. Do a little work. A lot of work tonight. A lot of different stuff to get done. But I'm looking forward to it. Ben Kenny, let's bring Ben in. And is there anything we missed today that we have not talked about? We talked about the Badgers, talked about the Bucs, talked about Marquette's upcoming game against Xavier. Got Aaron Rodgers, in the darkness, going into the darkness. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, he said tomorrow. We talked about all that.
Careful, he never said tomorrow. He said in the future.
In the future, okay. what a jag.
Can't put a day on.
So anyway, is there anything else we missed of importance?
There's a lot of stuff going on. You mentioned what we're doing tonight. The Netflix documentary on the PGA Tour season last year came out today. I think it's 8 parts, 45 minutes. And I figure a lot of people don't care, but for those that do or could be interested, I cannot wait to watch it. I've been looking forward to it.
What's the name of it? What's the name of it?
It's called Full Swing on Netflix.
Okay. That means I got to get Netflix again. I have to look into that, I guess. I let Hulu and Netflix piss me off. They keep raising the prices. They just send you that little saying, hey, about $20. You're not you're for, and suddenly the commercials have overwhelmed the program. Am I paying for this if the commercials are overwhelming the programming? Because it was supposed to be commercial free. Anyway, so I guess I got to go get it again if I want to watch a documentary. Oh, you know what? I think Kristen had. Maybe I'll just use her account. Maybe I'll do that.
I could try to find some back channel ways to get it to you.
If you get it, let me know.
I'm excited for that.
I'd like to see it.
The reviews have been pretty good. And hopefully, like the F1 show, for me at least, hopefully it brings a lot of people just overall interest because of how interesting Netflix can present it all. That happened. We mentioned Hunter Dickinson and Michigan last night.
Right.
I don't know if you had the volume on your television, but he walked in to the stadium with a ski mask on because he was, quote, coming to steal a win for Michigan. Now, I will note what ended up happening was he had a good first half. And he goes to the locker room, Bill, and he's taunting the fans. He's going crazy. He's riling the place up. And then after halftime, he scored 2 points. He didn't make a basket in the second half. He performed one of the biggest disappearing acts I've ever seen from a dude that talks that much. And then Michigan lost, and they did not steal anything.
Okay, I mean, I knew the ski mask thing because you and I talked about it earlier, but I didn't realize the taunt that was, and then the fact that he pretty much cowered away and didn't really pay attention to that in the second half. But it was good to see the Badgers get a win, gut out a win, so that was nice.
It was. I still can't believe they didn't score for the last 11 minutes of the game. Anyway, a win's a win. Calvin Ridley, the Jaguars wide receiver, formerly of the Falcons, one that has been suspended, has applied for reinstatement. I will ask you, what do you think the odds are that he gets reinstated?
What? How many times has he been suspended now?
Once. Just for the gambling thing.
Yeah. I thought he was suspended for something else prior to that. Maybe not. Maybe I'm mixing him up. But the gambling thing, I think he gets reinstated because of. I don't necessarily say because the way he did it, he was just dumb. He was an idiot, but I bet you he gets reinstated. I mean, they killed Paul Hornung for a year. They'll kill Calvin Ridley for a year, right? I mean, the precedent's already set there.
Yeah, I think he'll be back. I also don't think the Jaguars would have traded for him without some knowledge that he will be back.
I agree.
Otherwise, they would have stayed away.
Yeah, I think he's back. Like I said, the precedent is going back to Paul Hornung. You bet on it, and even in a peripheral way. Yeah, okay. You're done for a year. You need to go away. We need to come down hard, and now you're going to come back, and shame on you. But you will never touch a betting site again. Yeah, I think he's back. He's had some other issues, but I think he's back. I think they reinstate him. I think he says, I'm mentally clear. I'm not doing the gambling thing in that direction anymore. I'm good to go. I'll be a good boy. And they'll give him a second chance. And after, I mean, they've given other guys that have done much more egregious things chances. So my assumption is he's going to be back.
Deshaun Watson is in the league and making all the money he's making.
Right.
I don't know how you can, when you are championing gambling, and obviously it's against the rules, so he suffered the consequences.
Right.
But when gambling's as big a part of your league as it is,
right?
It's something you got to soften up on.
When you have 3 or 4 of the main stages at Super Bowl in the media center are all by gambling. When Caesars was there, DraftKings was there, FanDuel was there, BetOnline.ag was there. When all of those have major stages, and many of the big shows are brought to you by those, you can't then turn around and say, we'll never allow you back into the league. So, yeah, I think he gets back in.
One more.
Yeah.
And I thought we could do an interesting thought experiment here. So Wisconsin just recently, actually like 25 minutes ago, 30 minutes ago, lost their new tight ends coach, Gino Guidogli, to Notre Dame. There's a guy that was with Fickell, came over. Now he's going to be the quarterback's coach and have a more prominent role at Notre Dame. He was the tight ends coach, or has signed on to be the tight ends coach here at Wisconsin. I have some names that I think could replace him. I want to know what you think of these names. They all have Wisconsin ties, as we have learned is so important. And they all have experience at Wisconsin previously coaching the position. Number one is Mickey Turner, who just recently left Wisconsin, I guess was ushered out by Fickell when he came in. He was their tight ends coach last year. You have Chris Herring, the much maligned special teams coordinator from 2 years ago and tight ends coach that Paul Chryst probably should have fired, but never fired. And then you have the legendary former Wisconsin tight ends coach, Paul Chryst, who is currently not coaching.
My guess is going to be all 3 big no.
Well, you don't think they get a line on Chryst, whoever he is, and bring him back from whatever cabin he's hanging out in?
No, I think all 3. I mean, no. I would be, I'm not going to say shocked, but I would be somewhat surprised if any of those names began to surface. Once out the door, you're out the door. Unless, of course, you're leaving to be a head coach somewhere else. And then you call up and say, hey, it didn't work out here. Can I come back if you have an opening? Beyond that, once you're fired, they don't really bring fired dudes back. So I don't think that's going to happen. Hey, one more thing before we leave today. Do you know what today is?
Wednesday.
It is National Wisconsin Day. Did you know that?
I don't mean to. There's a National Wisconsin Day?
I didn't know it either. I didn't know
is
it
that
either.
One of the things that they just add to Wikipedia when you search what is today?
I guess, yeah.
It's National Cream Cheese on the backside of a bagel day.
I guess.
Crap.
I was told by a few people, did you know what today is? It is National Wisconsin Day. February 15th, National Wisconsin Day, celebrating the state of Wisconsin and all that it has to offer in its agricultural and dairy history. And I've seen it now because I've kind of looked at it a couple of times on some of the posts that were on Facebook. But sure enough, it's National Wisconsin Day. So who knew? Who knew? So maybe that's the reason that Rodgers wanted to wait until after National Wisconsin Day to go into the darkness, because you got to celebrate this, right?
It's the Wisconsin guy he is at heart.
Oh, I know, right?
Through and through.
Yeah. I just see him sitting in a pair of Jams, flip-flops on that deck that he has by the pool of Malibu, cheese head on, watching joggers go by, kayakers pass, manatees.
So did you hear about the Epstein files?
That'll do it. We're going to be back at it again tomorrow. Until then, enjoy your evening. Time for